right, let's do a cheers to the Sobeys and Safe with Liquid Beer for the podcast.
We ride again.
I love you guys.
Careful, that cake's hot.
Check-in, come on, let's go. It's the AM Nasty Big Hello. It's not static, AM radio. It's the Cool Ben Red Hot Nielson Show. Let's go. Everybody tuning in, even my wife.
Mommy likes too.
And those Macromella intros are cutting like a knife. Hey, it's Mitch texting in, he's your dealer for life. Let's crack a 6 o'clock and lager with some sirloin bites.
Baby, 6:05. You were tuned into the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. A double conch. Thank you very much, Trev. That fits. It works. It's great. We're dealing with a little. I left last week, and there was a board there and stuff, and I get back, and there's like 5 emails from Matt Iwanek saying, "Don't touch this. This is being repaired," and all this. So,
repaired.
Well, apparently, it's nice to be back though, and it's nice to kind of. This is gone, that's there, and it's a little strange, but it feels good to be back. Boys, did I miss anything? Anything going on around here, these parts? I mean, it's...
What'd you miss? What is Trev up to? He was...
Get a house?
No, we talked... At length, I talked to Trev yesterday about stuff, so just with the...
Heart to heart?
Yeah, looking at places to live.
Was this talk in the River Valley?
No, it was just here.
Above
just here,
board,
just here, yeah. No, I told Trev that his heart's set in the West End here, and me being from the south side of Edmonton, the mean streets. I'm saying it's not all chains and pocket knives out there. It's safe, Trev. And he was worried about getting to work on time, and I'm like, traffic. And you don't. If you're coming in this early, you don't have to worry about anything. I'm pretty far south, and it was. It was about 10 minutes to get in. Like, it's nothing.
Breeze.
It's a breeze.
You can go in any lane you want.
Yeah.
And then freewheeling.
You're closer to me, too, which win-win.
I like that.
So you've gone from the West End to the South? Is that kind of where you're...
Well, I'm looking everywhere now.
Yeah. Now it's open. Wide open.
Because there was a lot of times I was like, but it's like pretty south. I don't know. Like for the winter time, it might make it a little longer. But he makes a good point that no one's ever out this early in the morning when I drive. So
even walking, it's not bad. Yeah. Somebody did offer you a place in Fort Saskatchewan before I left. I don't know if that's a little more.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's tough. I might have to pass on that one. And speaking of Fort Saskatchewan, though, the Nielsen Show presented by South Fort Chevrolet. For the best deal at the best price, go see Daniel and his team in Fort Saskatchewan. Tell them the EST sent you. You'll get 15% off accessories for your new ride. Your go-to dealer for Silverado 1500s. Dusty write all this himself? This is gobbledygook here. Your go-to dealer for Silverado 1500s and heavy duties. Visit their website, www.southfortchev.com. Lieutenant Eric in for Dustin Nielsen this morning. Joaquin Gage as well, and YouTube Trev behind the monitors. Of course, Dusty having the call with 3 games a day. Hey, breakfast, lunch, and supper at the Holinka Gretzky. Sprinkled in a little CFL duties as well. So Dusty's hard at work down there at the rink, and he'll have 3 more games to go for today as the preliminary round kind of ends. Canada last night with the big win as well, 5-1. They improved to 2-0 at the Hlinka Gretzky. They'll take on Sweden later tonight.
That'll be good. I like the dynamic. I was talking with Jay yesterday, and it's a little bit odd to hear hockey and watch hockey, especially when it's at Rogers in August. You know, I
and
like
so many empty seats.
Yeah, it's
whatever.
Yeah, it
it's
is what it is. It's not the most popular term.
No,
but my wife actually, even she was watching it because I was talking about I think it's McKenna who plays for Medicine Hat. We have a friend of the family. He plays with the Medicine Hat Tigers and got drafted by the Florida Panthers, and so this is the kid that plays with him. And my wife, being a former figure skater and knowing the technical side of skating, picks it up really quickly, right? Yeah. And she was like, "How old are these kids?" And it was they're like U17. She's like, "Jeez, there's some really, really talented kids,
great athletes."
Oh my God, there's
I told you the intermission interviews are kind of.
Oh yeah.
Are you having fun? How'd you play? Are you feeling good? Yeah. It's all and a pretty fascinating. Some of these guys, I think you said the skating, but you can also tell how they carry themselves. You're like, yep, that guy's going to be a pro. Like just you can kind of tell how the cachet and how they kind of appear.
Well, there's no more like trying to trade Pokemon cards, and these guys are like they're little business entities at this point. You know, the eyes on the prize with these guys. It's funny when they just regurgitate the things that they've seen on TV their whole life too, and try to make it sense. I love it. I mean, I get flashes back when my interviews consisted of 110% and getting the puck deep too. But it's good. I do like hearing Dusty on the call. For some reason, it's weird. Him doing hockey.
It's much different.
I equate it more to Christmas time, right? So I'm like, my whole equilibrium of seasons is off with Dusty calling and with one Craig Button as well.
Well, him calling hockey. You mentioned Christmas time. Given this show today, we're going to continue our preview of NFL camps. I don't know if that was done too much while I was away, but we will proceed in this month of August. Of course, the dog day is winding down, but you got a bit of a chill in the air. You kind of feel fall. NFL, he's calling hockey.
We were saying, like, do we wear the hoodie today? You know, it's.
I've got an uncomfortable sweat going, but I don't mind it. Like it's something needed. You can text anytime as well during the show, 780-218-9999. That is the Paris Jewelers inbox. Of course, you know it. Family-owned, operated, 22 stores, 4 provinces across this great nation. Large, high-quality selection of engagement rings, lab-created, great prices as well. You can shop in-store or online from the comfort of your home, www.parisjewelers.com. And when you send in a text, please attach a name to it. We like to be somebody. Be somebody here, and you could be in for as well the A&W text of the day. Chill your thirst with the new frozen A&W root beer made with natural cane sugar, natural flavors blended with ice. You buy one, you get one free. That's the deal right now. So come hard after that text of the day. Anything at all, 780-218-9999. And you could be $20 richer in A&W credits. We do usually on Wednesdays have the Eric Macramala texts kind of taking a dominant stranglehold on the inbox, but not today. Macramala is not in today. He checked himself out yesterday. So we went around the horn, and I think it's a pretty good show lined up for you today. We'll get things going in the opening hour. We'll head down to Pittsburgh, discuss a little Steelers football with Jim Wexell. He is the Steel City Insider. He's got a new book out as well. He's been covering camp. We'll get his thoughts on the Steelers, how they're looking so far. For any Steelers fans out there, you have any questions for Jim, please feel free to get them in via the YouTube Nasty Chat or the Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. A little That Hurts for SB-LLP injury lawyers. We'll have that just before 7. Craig Button riding shotgun with Dusty on those Hlinka Gretzky games. He'll be by at 7:05. Recapping Canada's game last night, the tournament as a whole, and taking a look to tonight. 2-0 Sweden, 2-0 Canada. That should be a good one to round out the preliminary round. Coolbet Canada hotline of the day. You were getting a little into the action. Hey, weren't you yesterday or something? So I heard online or something. You had a bit of a sprinkle or a lean, if you will.
No, I was just... we were kind of looking into different things. I've got some stuff set up for a cool bet later. We can go through the boring play of the day. I'll try to crowbar a little bit of news too. Like
you're getting into the politique.
That's what I'm doing.
Coolbet's got you covered for everything. Yeah. You can find anything up there.
I know.
Pete Greggy's always on the lacrosse.
Yeah,
Like he's
yeah.
always
Oh,
dropping
yeah,
on lacrosse.
yeah.
So.
He's great.
Yeah. Free advice as well from Damon Bunting. We'll go there around 7:30. That's ahead of Mo Egger, our second NFL guest today. You might remember him from the old place. We've had him on multiple times. Does a great job of covering the Bengals down Cincinnati way for ESPN Radio. He'll join us just before 8. Kind of easy trivia. 3 questions too many. Always a good time. That's good for the Italian center shop. We didn't know sausages or taking big pastas sitting in the...
I've hit that every time I've left this place now.
It's too easy for you on the way home.
It's on the way home. It's not. And it was like, so I got the sandwich, the take and go ones, right? The hot, perfect.
Hot's good.
Yeah, pound half in the car on the way home, and I'm like, oh, I got another half for later. But my my son saw it, and Dad, what's this?
First taste?
He
Dad,
looks.
this?
He looks.
It's like he's
at
found
it.
your stash.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
He comes in your room dangling like...
He asked. He goes, "Can I have this for lunch?" And so he's got a new job. So he's working. I don't know if I told you.
I learned a lot just in the past half an hour. Your son's dating somebody. He's in Saskatoon
Yeah,
now,
he's
of
got a
all
girlfriend in
places. Now he's got a new
Saskatoon.
job.
Yeah, he
He's eating your
commutes.
lunch.
Yeah, and he's eating my lunch. Yeah, that's.
What's the job if you don't mind? If you'd want to keep it under
Oh no,
wraps,
it's
that's fine too.
it's a popular company in the Edmonton area. Weiss Johnson. He's doing HVAC, apprentice type work up on a ladder, doing insulation,
Ooh, up on
cutting
the
tin.
ladder.
Yeah, so it's.
Does he have to sing the jingle? That's one of the prerequisites.
I think everyone just whistles it the whole time.
It's an earworm.
I whistled it, and he didn't. It didn't
No?
catch.
Ah.
No, not yet. So
That's the
we'll
youth
see.
of today. Hey,
Yeah.
Josh Lewenberg as well in hour number 3. He'll be by, of course, Canada falling in basketball yesterday to France, albeit a valiant effort. I mean, I once you get to this stage of the game, you're playing some really stiff competition. I don't think Canadians should be shoulders slumped or anything today. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander said, one of his quotes, feels like we got punched in the mouth. And it was a slow start and a big start from France, and Canada just couldn't get that back. So we'll hit Josh Lewenberg up. I believe he joined you guys yesterday to set up the game. So so he'll be by to knock things down again and give his thoughts on Canada at the Olympics men's basketball. Losing out yesterday, quarterfinals action. And that's all ahead of the wrap as well for William Huff. And we'll get to that later on in hour number 3. 780-218-9999. As I said, hi from X-Ray J at an energy provider near Fort Mac. Hello, X-Ray J. He's got the Forrest Gump GIF as well. You can attach GIFs. You can attach pics now to your text, so that's a nice thing. Love to see you, X-Ray J. Of course, he was the... you were not nice about it. He was the black cowboy with a little bit of a wet spot on the pants.
Oh, I saw a picture of that. I
One of
wasn't
the
there.
All-Stars. Yeah. Deaky Sparks says, morning, boys. Can I get a conch for cell service for my drive from GP to the Fox Vegas Strip? Send her on the didgeridoo waves. I don't got the didgeridoo for you this morning. Welcome back, LT. 2 best guys in the morning. Let's Falcon go. Hit that conch. He's got it. That warms my cockles. Do you have what? Do you have it all in there? What do you? Any other?
I've got the majority. The only thing I'm missing is the Crack Pack song. But yeah, everything else, we're a little limited on the songs, I say. But all the club beats I got, kind of easy, lost, win,
Perfect.
returns.
Do you have your old conch as well, like the old?
The old, I could get it if you like.
Yeah, no worries. But
Maybe.
no, I love that you got the didgeridoo lined up. That was a pleasant
that was
surprise.
nice.
What did we learn on the show today? Didgeridoo is loaded.
Yeah. Definitely
love it.
take note.
Charlie chimes in. Glad LT back. The only one that's dedicated. Dusty is bad when it comes to broadcasting. Is this Charlie? Are you the guy with the AC unit that was screwing up earlier, and you were really mad at everybody? Then I said, "What's wrong?" If you want to talk about it, and you said, "Oh, it's just my AC unit." Hey, what's the deal, man? Dusty's a broadcaster extraordinaire. Once again, 3 games every day. Coming off these CFL trips, which, I mean, knowing what we know behind the scenes are a gruel to begin with. So, I'd say he's okay, and he's doing pretty good for himself.
I think the fact that he's not in a hotel the whole time is going to help out Dusty a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because
going home to family stuff. And
because I was trying to hear some crackling of the vocal cords, but they're strong.
Yeah.
He's drinking a lot of tea and probably crushing chicken fingers.
Well, I know with a guy like Craig Button next to him, it's like having you here. It's
Craig's
easy.
Craig's great, man. I'm really enjoying listening to those two.
Well, the two of them together for a nice week in a tournament such as this, it's perfect.
I said there's ulterior motives with Craig Button because when he comes on and Dusty's about to leave for the Spengler all the time, he's always saying, "How do I get there?" So this is, we might have to ask Craig about this. Is this you just trying to get into Dusty's suitcase to get to Davos over Christmas? I think there's ulterior motives from one Craig Button this month.
We'll go Hlinka Gretzky and the basketball as well. Baseball, though, as well. Riverhawks.
Here we go, huh?
Let's go. I leave the city. I don't know what's going to happen. They're on this 9-game road trip. Things can... And again, their team has been getting, bled because guys are going back to college and all this left, right, and center. So not the lineup they started with, but 9-2 over Nanaimo last night. Their regular season finale tonight back in Nanaimo against the Night Owls. A game we'll have for you here on Edmonton Sports Talk, 7:35. But I think we'll reach out to Maddie Murdoch, have her on again this week.
Yeah.
Because this playoffs, whatever it is, if they're hosting game 1 or they host the game 2 and if necessary game 3, assigned seating. So they learned their lesson. They said Canada Day, it's packed, and you can't avoid the headaches, right? But the good thing is they're keeping the prices intact. So $20 for the general admin, that'll get you in. But I'm sure that's going to be a hot ticket whenever it's announced. Game 1, Game 2, whatever it is. Be ready for that.
This time of year, playoff baseball is a lot of fun. I admit it, I don't watch a ton of regular season, but once you get into the
totally different.
But you see World Series sometimes. Into October, you can see the players' breath a little bit more. The weather's changing here. Just getting up in the morning, seeing 5 o'clock in the morning, not completely pitch dark, but that's the kicker. Still,
that's the kicker, baby.
That's the sign, baby. That's the sign.
But it looks nice. 26 Saturday, 27 Sunday, and then 26 Monday. So I don't know how that kind of playoff schedule will transpire here over the next couple of days heading into the weekend, but it looks like temperatures will rise for the weekend. If they get that one, whatever day it is, that'll be huge. Keep it locked on here. We'll have all the info for it. And again, maybe have somebody from the Riverhawks just for a little explainer on because it's good. We've always said it'd be nice if their season stretched just a bit into August, just to give you a little bit. Yeah. So that'll be nice. Riverhawks making it to the postseason, first time in franchise history. Should note as well, Cameron Rogers claiming gold yesterday. She became the first ever Canadian to medal in the women's hammer throw. I do believe Canada's kind of owning the hammer throw, both on the men's and women's sides right now.
First shot too. He hit that on his first. He knew right away. Like that was just a monster.
We've always said we're a hammer throw nation, right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly
what it is. And then, yes, of course, the men's basketball taking dominance yesterday, but more on that loss coming up. Hour number 3 with Josh Lewenberg. 780-218-9999, or in the nasty chat as well. Where are we on these subs here? 9.61. The drive for 10K continues as we're changing, 10? 29, changing 29. Hit the like, hit the sub this morning if you are watching on YouTube and haven't already. Sometimes you forget, sometimes you think you have already. Or just create other accounts if you like as well. Nobody's going to stop you there. But give us the thumbs up, helps the algorithm. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. It's that little bell right below NFL Preview on the title. Hit the sub, and you'll be locked and loaded for everything going on Edmonton Sports Talk on YouTube. Some messages going on in there. Happy Wednesday, Nasties. George, we see you. We love you. Unfortunately, no... You got any of that over? No. A bridge too far. That's okay. Maybe we can all do our own impersonations of a few lines from Throw Mama from the Train. If you have any you'd like for us to chew on, get them in the nasty chat or Paris Jewelers inbox. Wheels, I see Wheels is back. He's trying to chirp me about the Riders. I guess I haven't been here since. How about them Elks?
Yeah.
How about them Elks?
I've been dying. Like I talked to this with Jay yesterday. Was this... watching it, the Elks looked really good to me. And this is from a very, not the most in-depth CFL eye, but just my experience in sports. I wanted to ask you, was this a case of the Riders taking the Elks a little bit too nonchalant? We're playing that we have to bring our best, but then it didn't look like that too. Like it looked like the Elks kind of imposed their will on that game.
The Elks had some big plays.
Yeah.
And that was good. And the first game they played these two teams here in Edmonton earlier in the season, the Riders coming from behind late in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, again, these Elks losses, if you go back and you view them individually, they're not again, they weren't getting blown out 55-0. There is something there. And I think we saw that in Regina Saturday. I think the Riders would like a few drops back, a few overthrows, a few mistakes there, but you make mistakes, the other team has to capitalize, and that's what Edmonton did. Javon Leake looked great coming out of the Trey Ford gets that dimension where you have to respect the outside. So we talked about that, and Matty, I won't expend waxing poetic about that for months now, but it gives the offense just another added dimension. And when you have an O-line that can't really pass protect, just start moving them around, and everything's good. It doesn't always hit. But yeah, I think you saw a more open offense, a more fun offense, and one necessarily that if they don't even get the wins, it's entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
So a big win and a huge win going down to the Lions Den. It's 30 degrees down there. They got the fair going on. Riders are rolling. Like it was a big day. So that was a big win. And it's one thing for Trey Ford to go into maybe like an Ottawa. No offense to Red Blacks fans out there, but I mean it was a packed house there at Mosaic. So good on the Elks for getting out of there. Good to see Jarius Jackson getting the Gatorade dump and all that. Hernandez getting pounds on the sideline. I'm loving it. So, good on that. I'm sure Iwanik's been just chest out around it.
It's been a lot. But you know what? It's nice to see. Like, I was happy. I was happy that the Elks were.
Oh, overall. Yeah.
It's nice. But
they needed it. And look, I mean, boys, in the CFL, that's the beauty of this league is you're never out until you're mathematically, statistically out. And right now, looking at the West as it is, 1-7 the Elks, Winnipeg 3-6, Calgary 4-4. You've also got Toronto 4-4. I mean, there's always that crossover as well. So a couple of games, and now with BC coming up, with no Vernon Adams Jr., big Jake Dolegala in there, I'm picking the Elks to win again this week.
I hope so, because I mean, the only time that my wiener's done well is when Trey Ford's playing, right? So that's Sunday. Come Sunday, 29 degrees Sunday.
This is shaping up to be really nice. Yes, I'm looking right now 27, but
27,
take, right?
whatever. Yeah.
Lions 5-3. Jake Dolegala starting, which I mean, put that up on the marquee as you wish. I won't be. But Trey Ford now coming home after that big win. I mean, the vibes will be skyrocketing. The tailgate will be pulsating, and we'll be down there. So join us if you will. If you can.
I'll come. I'll swing by.
Do a loop, eh?
Yeah.
Get down there early.
It depends what concession I'm at. Sometimes it's weird. The ones on the end are just it's a lot of work
because you rotate, eh?
Yeah.
There's never a set.
There's some regulars that this time of year there's a lot of people that go away. So. I got to pick up the slack in the kitchen. It's good because I'm gonna wear because we have to wear those black shirts or whatever in the thing. But
you got to wear one of those shirts with the bikini on it.
No,
when you're barbecuing.
My son, he stopped his other job in the kitchen at Hart's restaurant, so he's all his chef shirts. So I think I'll don the chef shirt, get some Crocs, the hospital pants, go full chef look.
Behind.
I gotta get the monogram stuff. Maybe a Michelin star, not Michelin, but a Michelin. It's a tire.
Michelin style. Somebody said, and unsigned, please again sign your text. I said this yesterday. I think Button wants that afternoon 1 to 3 show. Interesting.
Ooh.
Button knows where to send the resume, and he knows. So I'm sure he could kind of talk to Dusty about that. Wouldn't that be something? A Craig Button extravaganza every day.
Oh my gosh.
And not about sports.
No. Pickleball. Just I'd like a little fashion show with Craig Button. He looks, he's when you put him and Principe together, they could be, there's similarities there.
Yeah, I see, and for lack of a better term, like a Dumb and Dumber fluorescent suits type of thing. Not your like strict fashion, but kind of going off the line and flaring it up a bit. 780-218-9999. Matty Elkwanick. You know what, Tiki Sparks? That right now is in pole position for text of the day. It's simple, it's quaint, and it rips on Matty a bit. So let's go with it. Matty Elkwanick, 780-218-9999. Come after that A&WGC in the Paris Jewelers inbox. Okay, we'll step out here. We'll do a sports break, sports update here. Jim Wexell will be joining us here at around 6:30, 6:35-ish. We'll touch down in Steelers camp, talk everything Pittsburgh football with him, the quarterback position. He's got a new book out as well. Jim has joined us in the past, and he's written a few books on the Steelers, various topics. But all Steelers fans out there, if you know somebody, wake them up. Steelers talk right now, Edmonton Sports Talk. So let them know we are on the iHeartRadio app, TuneIn Radio app, and, of course, live on YouTube. But right now, a sports update. We'll be back with Jim Wexell talking some Steelers football. Fresh off clinching a berth in the West Coast League's postseason for the first time in franchise history, the Edmonton Riverhawks take Game 2 of a 3-game series out in Nanaimo, 9-2 over the Night Owls. Regular season finale goes tonight between the two clubs. It's a game we'll have for you live on Edmonton Sports Talk. Coverage starting at 7:35. Alejandro Kirk with a 3-run homer as the Jays top the Orioles 5-2 from Toronto. That series continues tonight when Bowden Francis takes the mound. First pitch, 5:07. On the ice last night, Canada improving to 2-0 with a 5-1 victory over Slovakia at the Hlinka Gretzky tournament. Canada conclude the preliminary round tonight against 2-0 Sweden. 7:30 on TSN, Dustin Nielson has the call. Over to the Olympics, Canada bounced from men's basketball 82-73 to host France. In quarterfinals action yesterday, Canada shooting just 25 of 66 from the floor. Cameron Rogers, meanwhile, claiming gold yesterday. She becomes the first ever Canadian to medal in the women's hammer throw. No, that's okay. Give it to me. This is a first. Sports Update brought to you by Nusku Glass, where they can meet all your automotive, residential, and commercial glass needs. They offer free pickup and drop-off services for your vehicle and free estimates at your home and business, and have a 4.8-star rating on Google. They will service anywhere in the greater Edmonton area and beyond. Give them a call, 780-955-7989, to meet all of your glass needs.
What say you? Hey, nasty crew. We got the Nielson show flu. Well, there's nothing we can do about it. What say you? Hey, nasty crew. My wife thinks I got better things to do, but there's nothing I can do about it. We're tuning in on TuneIn, we're listening online. We catch up with the podcast when we fall behind. We're texting in the nasty chat, what's on our mind? 780-218-9999. No more interference from corporate interest. To Tutti and Eric and all at the back end. Like Wyszynski and Noodles, Gavik and Gage. Maybe it's but a cool band to make a little wager. We can't wait for the Monday Mandate. Shaggy's always on time. Tommy's always late.
Would you like a cup of tea?
Forget about the old place. Hey, we were number one in the text race. We don't miss all the commercial breaks, but we sure miss Nickelback today. We wanna hear some hot takes and we wanna hear Renee. Why not hold the neck up when I wanna kiss away? Beat left the tire fire and remember that name. We love every goal song, but what about Amanda Canes? Macramel, Rapapo, Dragger, Engineer. It ain't Christmas season, but they sound like reindeer. Button and my cousin and the tales of the North. All about him giving present, does he go for? What say you? AM Nasty Crew. We got the Nielsen show flu. And there's nothing we can do about it. And there's nothing we can do about it. And there's nothing we can do about it.
6:30, you're tuned into the Nielsen Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps, and as well on YouTube. Good to be back. How's everybody doing? 780-218-9999 is the number to text Paris Jewelers inbox, or feel free to chime in on the Nasty Chat on YouTube. 12 degrees right now in Edmonton. Cloudy skies, looking to get up to a high of 22 this afternoon. Maybe a little smoke as well, as temperatures will increase as we make our way toward the weekend, and a high of 26 on tap for Saturday. We'll be continuing our NFL previews ever so slightly this month. I'm trying to get this thing going. We did go down to Green Bay, talked to Wes Hodkiewicz last week on the Love deal, but we'll be going to Cincinnati later in hour number 2. Mo Egger, you may know him. He's been on before. He'll be talking Bengals camp, and Trev's getting him on the line right now. Jim Wexell, he's the Steel City Insider. He'll have all you need for Steelers football. If you have any questions for him as well, please, 780-218-9999 or in the Nasty Chat, as Jim looks like he's good to join us. So we'll get going with this one. Jim Wexell, once again, joining us, Steel City Insider, and we appreciate his time this morning, and welcome back to the show, Jim. Let's get into the topic that I was most looking forward to discuss, and it might be a short discussion, albeit, the Brandon Ayuk trade wins. You say don't do it. You had a tweet out. It was pretty short, but your thoughts on this whole discussion, where do you see it going, and where are we currently at on this topic?
Yeah, that was the headline of my writer's story. Don't do it. That's why it was short, because it was just a headline. Well, you know, for the first time last night, late in the day, a legitimate reporter, Adam Schefter, said that the Steelers were in talks. So for the first time, it isn't from somebody with 335 followers on Twitter saying that his sources indicate. So Adam Schefter brings it to the table. Now I'm paying attention. And we hadn't heard anything up here. I'm on my way to camp this morning, early Mike Tomlin press conference. And, of course, if anyone asks him about Brandon Ayuk, there will be no answer. But usually there's a leak up here in some regard coming out of Omar Khan's office or his surrounding offices, but nothing. So I had laughed at it because, for one thing, Ayuk wants $30 million a year, and that's more than T.J. Watt makes. And the Steelers have a long precedent of paying close attention to their pay scale.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they've always, and that's part of Mike Tomlin's winning record, is front office organization and team chemistry and pay scale matters. You know, somebody coming in as the number 2 receiver, okay, he's a pretty good number 2 receiver, but it's not like he is Jerry Rice. I mean, just to pick a name that would go, okay, this guy deserves to make more than TJ and the rest of us. All of a sudden, you're bringing in a guy that makes more than the highest paid player on the team. They don't like to do that unless it's a quarterback or something that makes sense. So that's one problem. Number 2 is draft capital. And apparently the 49ers want more in return. They need a right tackle. The Steelers have a left tackle who's available. They have a guard who's available. I don't know that the 49ers are interested in somebody the Steelers may cut anyway.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make sense on so many levels. But when Adam Schefter says the Steelers are back talking, then, Omar Khan he got Russell Wilson for veterans minimum. He got Justin Fields for a 6th-round draft pick. He's not embarrassed to ask for, hey, is our right guard James Daniels enough? He's not embarrassed to
might
ask.
as well ask, right?
Maybe might as well ask. And so that's what I thought Omar may have been. And still, maybe Omar is only involved at that level. But if he's back with them after apparently being shunted yesterday, if he's back, maybe he's offering a little more. But they're not going to offer a lot more. Because Van Jefferson is looking pretty good at camp as the number 2 receiver in what's going to be a multi-tight end, run-oriented offense with George Pickens being the star number 1 receiver anyway. So it all didn't add up to me. But if they can get a superstar like Brandon Ayuk, who wants to join the Steelers? That's the hook here. He wants to join the Steelers and may give them some kind of a discount or may play on the last year of his contract and in the hopes. I don't know why he would want to do that here instead of San Francisco, because they really have a better chance of going to the Super Bowl. So I don't know. I guess Adam Schefter, they're back at it. So it gives it a little legitimacy in my mind.
Jim, I was looking at now with Russell Wilson with the calf injury, but the thing that intrigues me most is just the whole dynamic of the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh now. What is Mike Tomlin saying about this relationship? Is this the veteran kind of little bit of a mentorship for Justin Fields eventually at some point? What kind of dynamic do you see the Steelers going forward once Russell Wilson's injury is healed up?
Yeah, well, first couple of days I watched Justin Fields. I said, no way, this guy can't do it. He just makes too many massive mistakes. I mean, he'll get a screen pass intercepted for 6 and then throw a beautiful deep out. It's one great play and then one awful play. But they're working on his mechanics. And yesterday I had my scout, who's a reporter for us, he came to camp. He said, wow, Justin Fields' mechanics on in his footwork are much improved over last year in Chicago. And then Mike Tomlin said the same thing after practice. So, okay, I'm a reporter. I don't know if his mechanics have improved. So apparently I get it from two guys that I respect. And okay, if that's going to be the season-long thing and maybe they re-sign him next year and he becomes the guy of the future, but right now it's Russ. And Russ is going to mentor him too. They're both mobile quarterbacks, and Justin's willing to learn, and he has gotten better. He's cut down on some of the mistakes. They're still there, but if his mechanics are getting better and he's getting better, then I'm excited.
Jim Wexell joining us, Steel City Insider. You can follow him on Twitter as well, at Jim Wexell. We do have a listener question here, Jim, from Big Maple. He asks two-part. If Tomlin doesn't produce this year, is Pittsburgh moving on? Yeah, he goes on to add, I know some ride or die black and yellows, and they have been done with him for the last 3 seasons. I guess, what is the temperature there with Tomlin? And we just talked quarterbacking. We just talked the Ayuk thing. Like, they're not on the cusp, I guess, of a Super Bowl, but Steelers football has always been competitive. They've always been there. What's the temperature like right now for one Mike Tomlin?
Well, the temperature's half the people hate him, and other half love him, and I'm in the love. I mean, this guy keeps winning, and the last 3 years, 39-year-old quarterback Ben Roethlisberger with a shot arm, and then a rookie quarterback, and then a rookie quarterback who got a little better. I mean, welcome to the world that everybody else lives in after 18 years of a franchise quarterback. So, and those last 5 years, Ben wasn't the old Ben. He had big-time arm surgery, missed a full year. Duck Hodges was the quarterback. I don't know what people want, and he still managed to get a winning record. But I tell you, right now, they've finally rebuilt. From the 2 Super Bowl era, they went to 3 Super Bowls, 1, 2. They had to rebuild the defense totally. And they did that, and then the offense fell apart. The offensive line fell apart. So they rebuilt on the fly without having those top 5 drafts, where you get the top 5 pick and then top 5 in the second round, and teams find a way to replenish. They didn't do that. They rebuilt on the fly, and they had a lack of depth. And for him not to have a losing record means a lot to me. Never loses a locker room, even when things look bleak, and he rebounds. And it's not like it's Tomlin's. Tomlin's not the one saying, "Hey, our goal is to, have a winning record." He doesn't say that. Everybody just pins that on him. So, the late stages of Roethlisberger, no low draft picks to speak of. T.J. Watt was a number 30 pick. Minka Fitzpatrick acquired in a trade. But I tell you right now, this is the best looking roster they've had. And the big question's at quarterback. And if they bring in a big time number 2 receiver, there's going to be some real excitement around here. But I think Van Jefferson's a good enough number 2 in this run-oriented offense anyway. And plus, they have a real offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, knows what he's doing, and they have that. So, if they get good quarterback play, this could be a legitimate contender, but from off under the radar. A good long shot bet, I would think, if Russ Wilson can revive his career to a degree.
Yeah, I love it. And I've always found the Steelers such a fascinating organization, Jim, because going back to our first topic here in Brandon Ayuk, it just doesn't really make sense of what we've traditionally seen is how they run that franchise and organization. But just wanted one more for you here, and we'll get to your latest release here that fans, last time we had you on, you had a book, and I think this time you got a new one. So we'll get to this here. One more for you, though. George Pickens, I wanted your thoughts on him. You mentioned Van Jefferson as well, but Pickens taking on more of a leadership role this year with this group, and what do you expect from him in terms of the heights that he can hit this season?
Yeah, leadership is a strong word. As long as he doesn't fall apart emotionally and start screaming at his coordinator and quarterback on the field, everything's okay. Because this guy's an immense talent. Leadership, maturity, there's some understanding that he is they will feed him as a number 1, and this town will fall in love with him, but just don't do stupid things. Don't break down. And I think he's getting that. They brought in a tough guy, wide receiver coach, who's in his face, and those two had an explosion early in camp. But now there's a lot of love between them. It was some tough coaching, some tough love, and George looks like he's accepted it. Now, I don't know, maturing is difficult. Getting your emotions under control is hard. Even at the age of 63, I have difficulty myself. So I'm not going to pin it all and make fun of George for it, but it's just where we're at with him. Wonderful talent. And he's got a quarterback that can feed him the deep ball and a good offensive coordinator, a good running game. And if Van Jefferson can give him some relief out there as far as the safeties are concerned, then you could see a monster year out of George Pickens.
Well, Jim, you're generous enough to share your age with us. In your 60s, you've had your 6th book now due to release. October 1, Pittsburgh Steelers, an illustrated timeline. And just for some Steelers fans listening, once again, October 1 is when it'll drop. Where can people kind of get this, consume it, digest it, all those sorts of things with your 6th release here, Jim? Congratulations.
Thank you. Pittsburgh Steelers, an illustrated timeline is the history of the Steelers written in vignette form, 250 words at a time. And a lot of pictures. It's a big coffee table book. Even my ex-wife's excited about it. She says this is going to be a big seller. I think it's going to be a big Christmas gift. It's beautifully put together by Reedy Publishing, Reedy. That's where you can pre-order. It's coming out October 1st. It's my 6th book. I'm working on a 7th. I talked to Joey Porter about a book idea I have on linebackers in Pittsburgh history. I think I'm entering my most productive, hopefully my most prolific era at 63. I'm reading Winston Churchill's biography. He self-sabotaged all his way up till he was age 66 and then saved the free world. So I'm hoping I can at least save my football career,
Jim, I just wanted to ask you too, the Steelers have such a great history. Which Steeler team is your favorite over all these decades?
Well, I was a Chicago boy, and I moved into here in the 8th grade, was a Bears fan in the 70s. So, when you're in 8th grade and you come in from Chicago and they're making fun of you and you love Gale Sayers and they're telling you Franco Harris is the man, you have a resentment. So the 70s weren't all they could have been for me. I started covering the team in 95, and I started to appreciate and respect the Rooneys for one. Dan Rooney was just a wonderful human being and treated me with ultimate respect as a reporter, a young reporter from nowhere. Then I got to know the players, and then so through the 2000s, first the Joey Porter team of 2005, and then the 2008 team of Troy Polamalu, and that was a biography of mine. The Troy Polamalu biography. I think you want to get that at JimWexell.com. I have it slashed at half price. It's a great biography. It's my favorite of my books, and So Troy and all those guys sat down with me and talked. We talked that era. So that team, the Bill Cowher / Mike Tomlin teams that won Super Bowls in the aughts. That was my favorite team, and so I hate to put them over the 70s, but I told you about my immature resentments. But Jack Lambert, I've gotten to know Jack Lambert, and boy, what a guy! I'm working on him. He told me that if he does decide to do a biography, that I'm his guy, autobiography, that I'm his guy. He goes, at least you got that. So I could change to the 70s eventually, yeah.
It's a storied franchise there that you're covering there, Jim, and a storied career as well for you. Congratulations again on the 6th release here, October 1st. People can find your work as well, JimWexell.com. And Jim, enjoy the rest of camp and the beginning of the season. Thanks again for your time.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. It was fun. Take care.
There you go. Jim Wexell covers the Steelers, Steel City Insider. You can find him on Twitter at Jim Wexell. That's Wexell for all your Steelers coverage. And again, these books, it seems like every time we have him on, he's got a new book to release. And as he said, in his 60s, his Churchill era, I guess. He's Steelers today, the world tomorrow type of thing. So.
The Steelers, I graced the ice in Wheeling, West Virginia for a time, just a few weeks, being sent to the East Coast League, the Sweatshop League, as most people. Yeah. And I remember there was a place because I was staying there, and I was all upset, and there was the Steelers game on. So in West Virginia, it's small town, steel town, steel, very blue collar. And going into this bar, it was called J-Bo's, and J-Bo was a guy. He was probably about 6'8", 380 pounds, just a mammoth man with an apron on. He'd come out and in a southern kind of accent, and just Steelers stuff everywhere. But the Wheeling, the hockey team was there, right? So he'd come out and see us. And he goes, "What can I get you?" And I go, "Do you have wings?" I go, "Do I have wings?" Jabo went back there and made me these hot wings. I still crave these things today. They were. You'll
never have better.
I will never have a better wing than Jabo's wing in Wheeling. But that culture, those Pittsburgh Steelers, they're woven into the fabric of that area.
It's a different, when I used to work at the grocery store, I had two old heads there that were big Steelers fans. And one guy was so proud that they didn't have cheerleaders. Yeah, we just care about the football.
Yeah.
Cowher was still there. Like, it was this whole kind of aura that they kind of had. And I always found it a little funny. And that's where this Ayuk thing really doesn't make sense to me. They don't go out and pay that money, especially to disrupt your kind of culture and roster management. And I don't know. They just kind of seem to take deals when they can get them. But and then, as Jim mentioned, rebuilding on the fly with not actually kind of falling down to the bottom. So I don't know. It should be interesting. Steelers in action. Of course, preseason kicking off Friday, I do believe, into the weekend for preseason week 1 in the NFL. So here we're getting. We're going to get into that, Hurts, really quickly. Craig Button will be joining us at around 7:05. We'll get his thoughts on the Hlinka Gretzky tournament. Of course, Canada victorious last night. They'll play Sweden later on tonight to round out the preliminary round, a battle of 2-0 countries in that one. But that Hurts, brought to you by SBLLP. Albertans suffer personal injuries in accidents every single day, but many of you are too overwhelmed. Who wrote this? It's like... I think Dusty kind of, it was one of those things like late night, he's at 2 a.m., might as well get ready. But Albertans suffer personal injuries and accidents every single day. Many of you too overwhelmed to seek the legal advice that you need. You can just leave it in the hands of those who look after it for you. The experts at SBLLP, the personal injury lawyers at SBLLP, have the experience to gather evidence and advance your claim to ensure you get fair compensation. And the best part is you don't need to be intimidated by that process. www.sb-llp.com. You click on personal injury or give them a call, 780-438-5281. No need to feel shame. Let SBLLP handle the claim. I'm going to that speed walking incident. Did you see this?
That was a while ago, though.
Was it a while ago?
Yeah.
I don't care. I haven't been here. To me, it's all like anything that happened in the last week is total fair game and fresh for me.
Yeah.
I'm seeing August 5th here. Okay, a couple.
Yeah.
So what was it? The Spain woman was in the lead. She's got the flag. She gives. I mean, the video is just great. I'm watching it right now. She puts the fist in the air, and is it a Ukrainian walker that passes or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Apologies on the countries, but she passes, and then that look.
The look, no.
And somebody did it up last night, and that's why I'm kind of going here because again, apologies if this is dated. But somebody had a EST draft type of thing where it was, it was like Jay Milne leading, and then Tom Gazzola coming behind to snipe the win. But I found that kind of funny. I said going into the games, I loved the speed walking, and lo and behold, we get a little, I don't know, not controversy, but a little bit of drama included in it.
Yeah, no, that's, that look. Yeah, finished the race. That happened too at the U.S. trials. I think someone in the 200 tried to slow down to strut their stuff and got passed by everyone. Like, just run through the line. Like,
well, the sprinting too, even if you're, it's that millisecond, even if you're before, you put the head across just because you could get something out of it.
And I know that there's a little bit of psychological warfare that goes on. Like, you'll see if you watch the 200 with DeGrasse coming up in the semifinals today, they get to maybe like 20 meters left and kind of look left and right and slow it down. I got lots left and stuff. I'm like, just, finish up.
Wear blinders like a horse.
You've sprinted before. Turning your head while sprinting can completely throw you off. Like
the whole how you're, and these people are more finely tuned, but it's just, you're right. The slightest anything, just shaves off a. But the walking too, just in terms of memology, where we're at, and that look. Like, you're going to be wearing that for some time. That's going to be making the rounds.
We had a discussion yesterday on Two Guys with the Mats.
Yes, right.
Since it is the
How
Olympics.
is the Matt sandwich? You're in the meat and the sandwich.
Yeah, it's I provide a little bit. We were throwing around the idea of an EST Olympics where we all pick an event and do it. So Matty was saying he was going to win. He was going to beat Belzy in the 100 meters, and Cass was like, I don't think so, Matty. That's not happening.
Matty just thinks he's so fast.
Where's this coming from? I've never seen him run.
Yeah,
like I just never. And again, I guess all of us, but. He's yeah, I don't know. Is he 100? Like he wants to sprint, or is he more of like a 400-meter hurdle?
Well, did he say four? That was my race, 400.
Distance is tough to kind of.
Well, it's that's the polar. I refer to that as the polar bear race because that last 150, that's when the polar bear jumps on your back. At that point.
And you bide your time a bit as well. Maybe you pick your spots depending on the lane you're in. I could
49 flat at Moose Jaw. That's what
40 flat.
49
flat.
49 flat. Yeah.
I could see Matty being good at like the 400, 800, like the long
distance
runner,
runner,
like the immediate sprint. I don't know about that.
No, that's a power race.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'd love to. Sign me
Have you
up.
seen my quads?
Bellsy's in today. We should get that going.
Oh,
is he in today?
100 meter, yeah.
Well, we got the AstroTurf laid down in the front here. Hey, what better place to kind of test it out?
That reminds me of Taylor Field, that stuff. I still have the scar from jumping on a loose ball.
From the old concrete type of... Oh, man, those are the days. Yeah, I can't believe... The Phillies, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Like the chemicals, and we don't need to get into that. That hurts as well. But
yeah, what hurts is turf. I hate seeing turf. Like the amount of injuries. You see guys stop, you see their knees buckle. It's not good. Go to grass. It's crazy. The amount of injuries that you could prevent from getting rid of some of this stuff. I mean, this is nuts. I mean, NFL's in preseason. How many guys are injured already for the season? Yeah, and this is on grass. You're compounding it by playing on that stuff. It's awful.
It's tough because, I mean, the upkeep, we don't need to. Again, Commonwealth was so nice to have grass here, too.
So
and it was
nice.
kind of a bit of a treat. And I mean, football, too. Like, if it's raining, get a little muddy. The
yeah.
whole muck it up a bit. And
yeah.
I mean, I'll even give you a step further. I wanted football back on the baseball diamonds. That was the thrill.
Yeah.
Watching the Raiders and stuff like that. And kind of you had first base there.
Yeah.
And, lining up on the dirt.
Guy looked like he slid into second.
Like, give me more of that. Only football played on baseball diamonds moving forward. 780-218-9999. Paris Jewelers inbox. Charlie's still going at it. I think he needs. I asked him if he's okay. Charlie, if you need to talk, we're here for you, buddy. We're gonna help you get through this one. And on the nasty chat as well. That's humming and bumping as always. Fazilla Moose. I think looking for probably a Draisaitl deal here. We might have an update on that with you coming up later in the show. Maybe a Draisaitl report or
let me just check my sources.
Sponsor today at Matt at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. But yes, we will have a little Draisaitl update, I guess, for you if you want. I think Stan Bowman, the latest was there was no negative talk about the deal, so that's good. Smith wants you to boot his ass, YTT, lay down the law for Fazilla Moose. What do you think, guy?
Yeah, I don't...
Fazilla, you're kind of flooding the chat here with a lot of...
Yeah, just no spamming or you're gone.
No spamming. Get the spam out of here.
What's spamming?
Just when you just chat, enter, you just keep sending and sending and sending, and it doesn't make sense. It doesn't really provide to the conversation. At least make sense with whatever you're talking about. I don't know.
Well, YouTube Trev is the sheriff of that realm.
Yes.
We call him YouTube Trev for a reason. So if you are behaving, strike one. I don't know what his strike count is. Maybe it's two. Maybe it is just one and you're out. But you behave in there. Fazilla Moose and all the others, whoever you are. 6:56. We'll hit a sports update now if we can. We'll give ourselves a little time. Rinse off for Craig Button. Maybe give himself some time as well here. He was on the call late last night down at Ice District. Of course, Canada in the Hlinka Gretzky. Victorious again, improving to 2-0 as they beat Slovakia 5-1. It'll be Canada tonight up against Sweden. Both 2-0, 7:30 on TSN. Dustin Nielson with the call. But we'll have more on that last night's game, the tournament as a whole, and what we can expect from tonight's action coming up with TSN's Craig Button. Coolbet Canada hotline of the day, a little free advice as well, courtesy our good pal Damon Bunting. And Mo Egger will be by from Cincinnati ESPN for a little on Bengals camp. That's all coming up in hour number 2. It is the Nielsen Show, and we are presented by South Fort Chev. You can check them out today as well. www.southfortchev. Best deal for Silverado 1500s and heavy duties. 15% off accessories on your new ride. Tell them EST sent you. www.southfortchev.com. Sports update for Green Plan. Canada improving to 2-0 with a 5-1 victory over Slovakia at the Holinka Gretzky last night. Canada conclude the preliminary round tonight against 2-0 Sweden. You can catch that game 7:30 on TSN. Dustin Nielson has the call. We'll be joined next by Craig Button for more on that tournament. On the diamond last night, Alejandro Kirk with a 3-run shot as the Jays topped the Orioles 5-2 from Toronto. That series continues tonight. Bowden Francis will take to the mound for the Jays. First pitch 5:07. Fresh off clinching a berth in the West Coast League's postseason for the first time in franchise history, the Riverhawks take Game 2 of 3 out in Nanaimo, 9-2 over the Night Owls. Regular season finale will go tonight between the two clubs. It's a game we'll have for you live on Edmonton Sports Talk. Coverage starts at 7:35. Over to Paris, where Canada bounced for men's basketball 82-73 yesterday from host France in quarterfinals action. Cameron Rogers, meanwhile, she claimed gold yesterday, becoming the first ever Canadian to medal in the women's hammer throw. Sports Update brought to you by Green Plan, providing you with award-winning environmental planning and consulting service. Whether it's municipal, industrial, or residential, plan it right with Green Plan. Visit green-plan.com or give them a call, 780-455-4292.
A baseball bat, a man with a tendency to overreact, out of control. Oh, and so it goes. The kid with the promise, with the friends with the tats, hopped in a car, now past the scalpel stat, 6 feet below. Oh, and so it goes.
To the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Lieutenant Eric Joaquin Gage with you, and we are on the wide shot. I love it. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. One of these days, we'll do the wide shot show, and I can't wait. You can do so much with that wide, you know, like you can kind of have things in the front, things in the side, and everything, and it's kind of got like a Much Music, Friday night vibe or something like that. We are coming to live as well from the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen Studio. Drop by Popeyes, always on my way home through Lloyd. It is per tradition for my wife and I.
What do you get?
I got the boneless wings. The what is it? The garlic parmesan.
Ooh.
Yes, the garlic parmesan. Got those. Got the platter, of course. You can't just get the combo.
Yeah.
You need the two sides. Mac and cheese and the fries and a Diet Coke to wash it all down. Delicious.
Do you eat and drive, or do you park?
No, we go in there.
We go in there.
Yeah, it's always pretty. Usually when we're driving back, it's at a good time. So
yeah.
We get our choice of the booths. It's perfect.
Nice.
And great washrooms as well, I'll say.
Oh,
for a roadie, that really helps when you get a good, a good one. So Popeyes, again, you see them on the screen. The boneless wings, continuation of their bone-in wings platform. You get them bone-in, bone-out. But lots of flavors, including signature hot honey garlic, honey barbecue, and my personal fave, the garlic parmesan, as well as the classic. Check out Popeyes today. And, of course, much like the Italian Center, a convenient stop on your way home as well.
Yeah,
they're all nicely lined up.
I'm thinking if, it's a tough road because you hit the Popeyes, you see it, and you're like, ooh. And
that's
then
the
it's
first
Italian Center. Oh, like you
Wayne's is waving to you.
Yeah, Wayne's is right there. No, I don't know. I think I might go meatballs today and do the meatballs. Make full spaghetti meatballs for the family tonight.
With the weather, 20 degrees-ish, like that's nice.
Yeah,
a little cozier meal.
Yeah,
so to speak.
That's. I think that might actually happen tonight. I think everyone's around too because busy family. Busy.
Yeah, son's back then too, as well from his.
Son's back, obviously working this week.
Could have gave him a ride.
Yeah, I know. And then, daughter's still, getting
LA?
some dance. Back from LA,
Yeah.
everything went good. Toronto, she has to go. Now she goes to Toronto again for more dance and stuff. So That's
You think hockey parents are bad, right? For tournaments driving out of tournaments. She's got a PJ already. You get her private jet to zoom around the continent.
Yeah. The Gage 4, the Gage 5, I guess.
Sitting on the runway running. Just waiting.
Yeah,
that
no.
type of thing.
Unfortunately, no. That's never going to happen. And then and my wife is quite busy too with new jobs, everything and stuff. So
New jobs.
Yeah. Someone's got to pay for my daughter.
Well, you're out here having fun. And
Yeah.
the PJ,
Yeah.
the PJ needs some money thrown into it as well. 780-218-9999. Deaky Sparks, so far, pole position for text of the day. So if you have anything else that you want to chime in here with Matt's running or the speed walking at the Olympics, please do so. Box Pounder in, and I think we can push this one if you got the conch ready here, Trev. Conch for Billy Bean, 60, RIP from Box Pounder. Yeah, Billy Bean without the E, correct? I think it's the other Billy Bean, but Billy Bean, 60 years old and passing away yesterday, I do believe, a battle with cancer. So condolences there.
Not the Moneyball Billy Bean?
Not the Moneyball Billy Bean.
Oh, okay.
So it's funny, like two Billy. Why don't you go by Bill Bean to kind of,
I know.
kind of. But good job on your Box Pounder there. Josh Lewenberg will be joining us at around 8:30 as well. He says over the phone today, Trev, so no video for J. Lou there. He's on the go for sure over the phone. Do you need his number too? Yes. We'll do that off the air. Sorry, just taking care of a few house things here. As I said, busy show though. We'll be going down to Cincinnati. Mo Egger at 7:40 this hour. Free advice for Damon Bunting just ahead of that. We'll have a Quebec Canada hotline of the day. Don't know where you're going. You mentioned sports and life that you're kind of betting on now. I love it. Maybe dancing. You have the inside leg with your daughter there. You can kind of insider trading.
That would make it fun. I might have to talk to Coolbet and get some odds on my daughter to win and to place.
Get a few people propping up there.
I'm sure we could get some extra funds towards that.
And Josh Lewenberg, as mentioned, he'll be by third hour, midway through, recapping Canada's loss to France in the Olympic quarterfinals from yesterday in men's basketball. Craig Button still looking to clock in here. Is he good to go or no? So we rate Craig Button. He'll be by. Once again, Canada victorious last night at the Holinka Gretzky. Maybe not too much surprise, 5-1 over Slovakia. I know Sweden really pasting Switzerland last night down at the community arena. I think like 12 goals or something like that. So Sweden looking the part. But these tournaments are funny too, these international ones where you have maybe a lot of strength, not so much maybe on some countries, and how much you read into just running up the score.
Well, that's what I'd like to talk to Craig about. He's a little bit more insider knowledge of this tournament, how it usually goes, because what is it, that famous Swiss coach comparing his team at the World Juniors to Canada's team. He's like, we have a 6th rounder on our team. They have 8 first rounders.
Yeah.
It's
well, what are you going to do?
And I think this team, even more so, is a juggernaut. But I did like Sweden. Watch the U.S. a little bit too. So once they get into a little bit more difficult competition, I think the games will be a little bit more. I mean, I don't like to watch blowouts.
Well, especially in like junior. Like, I mean, it's kind of a strange thing. But
the goalie in me just starts to cringe when you see getting closer to double digits and stuff like that. Just I don't know. It's tough to watch.
Well, it's funny. These two teams tonight, both Canada and Sweden, both with lopsided wins, but also Sweden winning their first game in overtime over Slovakia, who Canada beat last night 4-3. So Slovakia making it a little difficult, I guess, early on in the tournament for Sweden, but they get past them in overtime. Of course, Canada shutting out Switzerland 10-0, and Sweden hammering it on Switzerland last night 12-1. And Canada getting past Slovakia 5-1. So score that as you may and how you wish, but certainly sets up tonight for an interesting battle. Canada, Sweden, 2-2-0 nations, concluding the preliminary. As well, action beginning at noon today. Czechia and Finland. Czechia also at 2-0. Finland are out. 1 loss and 1 overtime loss. The USA will face Germany at 3:30. Both nations there sitting at a comfortable 1-1. Switzerland and Slovakia, again, both those nations out of the picture as of now, and Sweden, Canada, both sitting at 2-0. That'll be tonight, 7:30, concluding the preliminary round, and you can catch that game on TSN. Dustin Nielson will have the call as we just await TSN's Craig Button. Should be joining us in a matter of minutes. Tyler in Terwilliger asks, when is the Nasty Bash song dropping? open. Probably when the Hlinka Gretzky might be over here, mid-August or something like that, shall we say. Dusty gets back. The CFL schedule will relax a bit and get kind of jammed up. You're seeing more double headers and stuff, so Dusty's travel will be a lot less complicated, shall we say. So probably looking at mid-August. I know Dusty said it would be a quick thing to turn around this song, so keep waiting, Tyler and Terwilliger. Megan Trainor would make a great race walker because it's all about that bass. Is that okay? Yeah, well, I Scalding Gourd, you're trying there. Coming after that text of the day for A&W. When are we going to get the Gager Cassian 600-meter spectacular on Coolbet? Like Bailey Johnson, 150 back in the day. Like a total one-off thing. Just it's not part of an Olympic, part of this EST Olympics, but just the race.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. That's a long ways, though. There was 600 meters. We don't need that much. I think 125, maybe. That's
you 150, maybe the final 50. You stretch it out, right?
Yeah, no, that's there's training involved there, though. That's don't want to pull a hammy.
Well, no. 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat. Looks like Trev's dropped the hammer as well. Hey,
yeah, it was about
punishment
time.
due.
Yeah. I put, get up, ball, get up, and he's gone. And what a moment for George Springer. Yeah, no, I just, I had it. If you're not providing to the conversation in a positive way, or even just a common sense way, you're gone. So that's why he's out of here.
I appreciate the strong edge, the iron fist.
Yeah,
because
it's about damn time.
It's in your name. It's your block here. You should be ruling it here.
Corporate Trev, they call me. YouTube Trev. I've got, and then Sheriff Trev every now and then. And so Fazilla Moose got sent to YouTube jail. That's what that was.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're like Mr. Smith in The Matrix, hey? You just
Mr. Smith.
You're running that thing.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
I'm Mr. Smith.
Are you guys sending him to Vegas for the Grand Prix? Deaky Sparks asks. Gager on the pit walk with an EST mic would be unmovable. Look, we have the technology.
One day it'll happen. I'm sure it will. It's inevitable. Maybe not this year, but and I don't know if Vegas would be my place of choice. We've discussed this where. I mean, Zandvoort's the next race.
Yeah.
I mean, you want if he, the music itself, it's just all DJs. It's just and going crazy. The orange smoke, it's going to be nuts. Max, back. I'm really looking forward to this race over the break. It's this is tough. This is a tough another 3 weeks, I believe.
Sunday, August 25th will be from the Circuit Zandvoort in the Dutch Grand Prix. But you're right, that's a different type of party atmosphere.
On the water, I believe. It's gorgeous, man. And August, that time of year, perfect weather. That would be the place for a grid walk, I think.
And Vegas, to me, seems too almost forced in a sense. Like it's the glitz glamour. It really speaks to the Netflix Drive to Survive era in Formula One.
The one thing I do have to say about Vegas is they were worried about the racing quality. What's it going to look? Because there was some huge straights in there, and actually the race itself was really enjoyable to watch. And now you see with the top group kind of tightening up with the constructors and even to drivers' standings. I mean, Max is 100 points ahead. That can disappear quick with the amount of people that are leaving Red Bull as well. Who knows what's going on?
Is this like a rats leaving the ship type of deal? Are you getting, or is it kind of like it seems?
Yeah. It's
they were on top of the world.
Yeah, Max is on the on the raft, and Christian Horner's there's not enough room, and he's going to have to let go here. I don't know, but by that time, what I'm getting at is by that time of the year, that race might actually really mean something, right? So for point standings, constructor standings, and the fact that it's such good racing, it'll be quite enjoyable, I think.
And once again, Formula One, triumphant return from the summer break, Sunday, August 25th, as you mentioned, Zandvoort. I can't wait, and especially with things that have kind of turning here. It's interesting.
It's the best time of the summer for sports because I get F1 on a Sunday, and then it bleeds into the NFL. And then, there's rumblings about training camp, and we talked about captain skates yesterday. If there's a captain skate, I'll go and turn off the plant. Those guys should not be on the ice.
No, we can't be having another one of those, can we? I mean, but it's a good thing for you, as you mentioned. You won't be leaving the chair, leaving the house, leaving the couch.
It's just a nice. It's like. Obviously, I'm not full in with NFL, but it's something that I have on. Dusty kind of put that on. He was saying, Tammy goes, "Hey, do you want just the NFL game on in the background?"
Yeah,
and so he was like, "Well, yeah, that
Then you used to it after a while.
That's just love right there.
Exactly. Nasty chat humming along again once Fazilla Moose has been locked up in jail tightly. Jimbo says, Fazilla, we hardly knew ye. Damn, I just missed old Fazilla getting the boot. Yeah, Penner's Pancakes, sorry. A little late to that one. It was quite entertaining there. Also really good to see LT keep the hair down while Dusty's gone. Yeah, no, it's just a fit and feel type of thing. Still waiting. Craig Button here. We'll be trying to dive into the Hlinka Gretzky. If not, that's okay. We shall move. Once again, as mentioned, it's a jam-packed show loading it up here. Kind of bit off a little more than I could chew yesterday in planning this puppy. There's a few. I'm like, gotta get this and that and the rest. So that's okay if Craig, once again, late night and a busy week for him and Dusty down there at Ice District. Of course, 3 games thick and fast.
If we don't, excuse me, get to Craig Button, the 2 players that excuse me, Cameron Schmidt and Matthew Schaefer. Matthew Schaefer's a defenseman. I think
you identified him.
Wears number 5. Man, his transition game is way beyond his years. Like that, when there's a turnover, this is what you want to see from your defenseman, especially a puck-moving defenseman like that. It's a quarterback with a 5-foot drop. Like he's getting the puck going the other way really quickly and jumping in the rush. Very, very. If you're gonna watch the game, keep the ISO cam on number 5. Great player. The other guy is Cameron Schmidt. I believe plays for the Vancouver Giants.
Had a pair of goals last night.
Yeah, nice. And just like the one pass to him, I believe on the second goal, just off his stick in traffic. Canada's got some really, really good young talented players.
Good young talent, and I just wanted your thoughts too. You've been doing these, down there at the mall and running tournaments and such, and working with younger players. But it is something, and Craig's got the eye for it. Obviously, this is his job, working with the younger players and seeing that development, around the bend before it happens, shall we say? But you mentioned number 5 there in Schaefer, and like what do you see in a guy like this at this age, where what really jumps out to you to say, yes, that can translate to the, because there are a few things that he'll still probably pick up that he doesn't know yet. There are probably a few things they may have to shed, I guess, in his game. But what's that initial thing you see specifically for a defenseman where you would say, this guy's there's a cut above here, or there's something cooking here? Is it, again, you mentioned the movement. I mean, that's always key, but are there any other small little things that maybe the general eye won't pick up on so much as somebody who's played the game and works with younger players?
From a young age, if we're looking back to the MacD Classic, I mean, these kids are 9, so it is what it is.
It's early on stuff, but
the thing that the first thing I notice is when the puck's on their stick, their head's up, like they're looking to do something, right? And with Schaefer, what I noticed with him, obviously the skating ability, kind of, the mohawk turning and getting the puck, but he's thinking the game at a level like, okay, I'm not making the comparison, but like Connor McDavid, Cale Makar, they're 2 steps ahead all the time, right?
Yeah.
So.
And that can't be taught. I mean, that's just the natural.
That's the human CPU going, right? So he's going, okay, if I get the puck here, I'm turning and I'll have 2 options, and then I'm gonna, he's thinking this. You can tell there's a method to his madness. That's the first thing. So heads up and looking to make plays, especially. And I mean, I mostly focus on the defensive side. Usually that's where I look mostly. But and this again, the competition wasn't at the highest level, so I'd like to see him what he does with a little bit more pressure. But that's kind of what I look at. The heads up, looking to make plays right away.
See anything in the goaltending? Lucas Beckman, Montreal. I mean, again, you mentioned the opposition, and maybe it's sometimes unfair to critique certain guys in certain positions due to the fact that you're stopping 30 shots or something, but are they all high quality, high danger, or something that's really testing you? So how do you from a goaltender's point of view, defensemen and skaters are one thing, but how do you kind of judge, a goaltender's play with kind of what we were talking about there, the aspects that you can't be measured with a number or something, but what are you seeing from a goaltender that makes you say, oh, that's something different with the wiring, as you mentioned?
It's tough in these first 2 games because they weren't really tested too much, right? But you can still see a lot. Just with positioning, they're going to get a couple good chances. So a lot of times in situations where a goalie's not as busy, and then having to make a quality save
here or there.
How well he's communicating with his players, setting up the puck, things like that. I'm more interested in the other team's goalies actually because they're getting bombarded, right?
It's almost like a Shilov's thing in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, this is interesting because you're not just going against, this is high quality stuff. That's what you kind of want to be tested against, much like Trey Ford this weekend. But he showed that Riders defense. I mean, they cut right through him. So you're right. I mean, that it is fascinating watching these goalies from Slovakia's or wherever kind of getting hung out to dry, but you can't even look at those numbers so much to say is, you're playing otherworldly competition.
At that point, I'm looking at body language. Are they still making saves, right? There's how engaged are they still in the game? I liked the first period from the Swiss goalie. I thought he made some really good saves, right? And you could see the dam was about to break, but their type of body language, if they're do they stay on the ice after, goal 7, 8? It really, it's very hard. And I trust me, I understand it, but there's something to bouncing back up, shaking it off really quickly, and that helps you later on. That's what I look for in younger goalies. How they
mentality in that position is certainly
yeah.
more of a key, I guess.
It's not always going to go your way.
No, well, and certainly in these tournaments, you have to be prepared for it really unraveling. Maybe not in your favor. 780-218-9999. We'll probably cut Craig loose here. I mean, he's that's okay, but we appreciate him getting back to us and everything like that. Maybe him and Dusty went out last night and tied one on, old Craig. Where do you think Craig Button was last night? 780-218-9999. Looking for Tommy at Kelly's? Maybe that's one of the... Tommy's still down at the camp, hey? Idaho way, I do believe.
Pushing pucks.
Pushing pucks, yeah. And I always love the stories of him coming back from that, adventure.
Yeah. So tarps off on the deluxe golf course, I guess.
For the boys, I think that's how they say it, eh? It's all for the boys. A lot of Zines or Zins.
I said the old wrench. It's whittled down.
Yeah, be a little more rusty when it gets back, maybe, that type of thing. Charlie's back. He says, I'm okay. Just nice. Just saying it's nice of you guys sending Dusty off for some training. I suggested he needing training. That's awesome. It's paid training, I guess you could say, Charlie, but we appreciate it. And I'm glad you're okay, man, because that's just great. Keep texting in 780-218-9999. We'll hit a Coolbet Canada hotline of the day, Gager, if you're ready to kind of piper us into this one. I know you mentioned sports, but you also mentioned you might go off the sporting round because Coolbet does provide you with a lot of things, including U.S. presidential race. Things like I'd really like if they get into like Senate type of stuff, really really deep dive, mayoral candidates. But
I've been looking at the boring match of the day with Coolbet, so it's funny. It's Brewers Braves. Brewers plus 135, Braves minus 159. You might want to sprinkle a little bit on the dog days and on the Braves to win. I don't know.
Was that a matinee today or what? Are we Brewers Braves?
I think that's today. No, I like the presidential race kind of stuff. You see the Kamala bump.
It's funny how the numbers move on that as opposed to like a sporting.
Yeah, no,
it's not like a strained hip. She'll be out of the.
It's funny how the movement goes. But I did look at, being the Olympics, tons of things to bet on at the Olympics.
Great, yes.
Right? So just so everyone knows, with Andre DeGrasse coming up in the semifinals, for him to qualify for the final, yes, minus 286, no, plus 195, and then plus 4,000 to win in the final for Andre DeGrasse. So how do you not just throw
a Matty I want to clean or
fin
sprinkle
on there and see what
Yeah.
happens and hopefully he can repeat. That would that would be great. I'd love to see him win. It's going to be difficult.
Yeah,
but,
and his coach getting sent home as well. So that's always kind of.
They did say I looked into it a little bit. They said all the preparation up. It's all. There's nothing.
This wasn't a drone thing again. I
no,
think people see that and they're like, cheating again.
Yeah, no, this was something else. But all the preparation to get to this point, it's all done. There's no more input I don't think his coach could provide to put him. So it's
maybe more of a mental thing and a comfort thing at this, a security blanket, if you will. In a sense, you ride with the guy and you're gone.
With video and stuff, if there is something in this semifinal and he gets manages to move on, I'm sure they can go over it over the phone.
Yeah. That's your Coolbet Canada hotline of the day. Check them out today, coolbet.com. Everything and anything. And as you mentioned, what was it, the bad bet of the day or the boring bet of the day?
Boring match of the day.
I don't mind that as well. Brewers, Braves, right on that later tonight. But obviously, as you mentioned, too, all Olympics. And I do see some early week 1 NFL odds and numbers you can get at as well. So maybe if you want to jump on that early, maybe you see something, know something that maybe others won't. Heading into week 1, get on there and get some value today. Coolbet.com. Just kind of looking as well. We got the New Westminster Salmon Bellies taking on the Victoria Shamrocks. I think that's a lacrosse game as well, so you can kind of lean on that. Are you familiar with the Salmon Bellies? Is that?
They're famous.
Okay,
yeah.
Please.
That's the whole old box lacrosse from my old stomping grounds. The Salmon Bellies were always, the Coquitlam Adanacs, I believe, were in there. The New West, that was, it was like a prison riot back in the day. Even if you ever get to talk to Rob Brown about, because he played in Kamloops, back in the days where they had best of 9 playoff series back in the Western League.
It's like a cricket test.
Oh my gosh!
It lasts a week.
And I think there was old chicken wire for some of the there wasn't even plexiglass. It was it was a scene from Mad Max Thunderdome, basically in that old New West Bruins arena.
More chicken wire at sporting events, I'll say. It adds a bit of a toughness to everything.
Bill Ranford, that's where he cut his teeth.
780-218-9999. Good Time Charlie says, Craig mentioned during yesterday's game that he owes Dusty a dinner. Maybe they went out for that chicken fingers. And that could have been it. I did hear that conversation there, Good Time Charlie, and maybe you're right. So maybe it was a dinner. Maybe it was a late-night chicken finger. Why don't you come back to my hotel room and we'll get room service, and him and Dusty are on the bed with their feet up. And
I wonder how Dusty takes that. Does he get worried that, I'll take you to dinner? And does he get a little bit?
They have this great drive-through. That's the first.
The nice restaurant at? I'm sure he's at the JW there, the Bravin. There's some. I don't know if they
put it on the company card. They're on duty. They're on official business here.
There's a per diem involved, isn't there?
Absolutely. The Rod Black per diem, as legend says. Maybe they'll get the limo there as well. Big Maple had to step out for a meeting. Did it get discussed already about Dubé and Michael McLeod getting signed to the KHL while waiting trial? Yes. Well, both of them are off to the KHL. 2 out of the 5 have signed KHL deals. It was not discussed, Big Maple. There's not much. You kind of discussed it there. I guess they're free to do that. There's no you're awaiting trial. You'd have to come back or whatever.
And I forget there was a player who got in trouble because he was with the name escapes me, but he was with the Washington Capitals organization. Screenshot some texts of him having some disparaging remarks about other players, their wives, and how they looked. Immediately got let go by the team, but he's. I don't know if this is true or not, but I think
Leipzig.
Brendan
Leipzig.
I think he was in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, he went over there.
And actually, it's because of what he did and his. With Google, this is where you tell people you got to be careful what you put out there on social media, because he even mentioned that's the first thing that pops up when you search him, right? So. Someone said he's even applied for his Russian citizenship because he can't even get a job back in North America because of what they see, what he said. They were pretty bad what he did, talking about his other teammates and on the team. So
yeah, that was, and you mentioned it. Once you key in the name, that's what kind of follows you here.
It doesn't look good. So. Obviously, with those two guys going over to Russia, obviously a little bit more lenient with the Vladimir Putin rules, I guess. I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on it yet. I have to.
No, they're able and free to do that, and they do that, and we await the trial.
That's the only place they'll be able to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of where they go now, and that league has kind of now been the. But it's funny. The guys who can't, for whatever reason, get a job in the NHL or go over there, whereas the NHL plucks guys off the KHL who are diamonds in the rough, gold churning. So you're kind of they're getting the garbage. so to say, in a sense, and then the NHL is kind of excavating the diamonds, so to speak, every once in a while.
I think I was on my way to Russia at one point, and thank God someone got injured in Germany, and I was scared to death to go because I
even
just
to
heard,
fly.
Well, to
right?
fly,
Like, I mean, we've heard stories about that.
I've been to Russia with Team Canada. There's no rules there. Like there's.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that one time. You went to the arena and there was the dogs and the guns and the whole and again barbed wire. Like,
it's just wire. You don't feel safe. Like and I mean this was 24 years ago. So it was different walking around. The cops and the things that you saw. The stories that I heard, like the mafia involvement in games. Like my buddy Dave Cooper told me a story where they were basically throwing the game and just different things. Mark Watton, some of his teammates' families got kidnapped and were
Mark Watton.
Yeah, that were ransomed. Oh, he's an old Saskatoon player.
Yeah.
Wasn't he? Yeah. He tells this story. He was worried because he was playing in Russia, they came back to the parking lot. All these notes were on cars. And bring this money to this place to see your family. And he was worried. And the captains. Oh, don't worry about your family. It would be an international incident. They just take the local guys' families.
I like how it's just like
it's just.
You just got a note. Hey, big deal.
Yeah. So I'd never heard anything really good about that. And just getting your money. It was brown paper bagging it. Right. They would just get a bunch of cash. There's no banks and another goalie, Martin Brochu. I remember
Martin Brochu.
The
KHL version of a Martin Bruder. I love it. It's your dollar discount type of.
He had to hire like security to go to the airport. This is what I can't.
How many brown bags did that cost?
Well, no, he had the money belt.
Okay.
He had the money like taped to his person, hired two security agents, one in front, one behind, all the way to the terminal, because I guess it was public knowledge, he hit all his bonuses, so he had a lot of extra dough, and you can't send it, like the banking system's just all fried, right? So he's got all this cash.
You're almost in trouble making too much. What do I do with all this? Where do I put it?
So it's just, I don't know. I mean, these guys are going over there. Well, yes, going from the NHL to that type of lifestyle to there, unless you're used to it, that's going to be even with the language barrier, it's so hard.
I can. And Big Maple says it's a troubled expat hotbed over there with minimal to no risk of extradition if needed, and you take the job where you can get it. But another thing too, which I've heard, is that travel too. I mean, it's a huge country. You're playing. You're going from one. I mean, we think travel here is rough. We're talking Cup Finals, going down to Florida, and the milk run that the media had to endure doing that. I mean, you're traveling from Yekaterinburg to. I mean, that's how many thousands and thousands of kilometers.
You're probably closer to back home at some point, right?
Yeah. In a rusty old plane or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
No, that's holy crap airlines. I remember that one flight. Nothing worked. Like I got into the seat, you press the button to go back, and it just fell back. And then I was sitting there, and you could hear the plane, like it sounded like an old jalopy starting up, like, and I'm looking at the engine. I'm like, holy smokes! Like it looks like it's rattling. And I didn't know if it was the plane rattling or the engine rattling. And then I look over to my left. Old Russian guy sitting there, right?
He's fine.
And he's sitting there and he looks at me and he goes into his bag. Oh, yeah. It goes into his bag, grabs a big, huge, 40 of vodka. Like it's whatever. It's got the Russian in. And he just hits the side, like with the cap, spin it off.
Oh, yeah.
You do that. The cap spins off, just goes on the floor.
He doesn't need it anymore.
I don't need the cap anymore. And starts hitting it for a bit and puts it down and looks at me and gives me the head nod. I'm like, oh my God.
First time.
Yeah. But I didn't know it was BYOB on flights and stuff. And then that was this, I'm never scared on flights, but that was the longest runway I've ever been on. It was just
trying to
I'm like, are we running it? Like we've been on the run, like this takeoff for 10 minutes and finally got up off the air, and it was, I was like, wow, this is how it ends.
That little feeling you get once you get airborne, like it must have been hitting hard on that one,
but
especially, right? Like,
on a normal plane, you hit that and you feel that you get pushed back
Yeah,
in your
yeah.
seat, right? No, I was like this going forward. It dropped a bit. I'm like, oh my God. And I almost asked him for a sip, but crazy.
might need more than a bottle of your own, maybe.
Yeah.
Wonder if they got a Connor McDavis in Russia. Deaky Sparks asks. Then another team is running Cotter McDavid. Yeah, that could be something as well. I do love the dollar discount Martin Brodeur there. That was a good. I couldn't believe that. Free advice right now for Damon Bunting. Actually, we'll do that on the way back. First, let's do a sports update. A quick free advice, and that's ahead of Mo Ager. He'll be joining us from ESPN Cincinnati for more on the Bengals and old Slim Shady playing quarterback this year, and Joe Burrow. That new hairdo, man, that is sharp stuff.
That'd look good. I just looked that up.
Isn't that something? Mo Ager will be by to round out our number 2 sports update, and then a little free advice from Damon Bunting. Fresh off clinching a berth in the West Coast League's postseason for the first time in franchise history, the Edmonton Riverhawks take Game 2 of a 3-game series out in Nanaimo 9-2 over the Night Owls. The series finale and regular season finale will go tonight between the two clubs. It's a game we'll have for you on Edmonton Sports Talk. Our coverage starts at 7:35. Jays with a 5-2 victory over the Orioles last night from Toronto. Alejandro Kirk with a 3-run shot. Series will continue tonight. First pitch 5:07. Canada improving to 2-0 with a 5-1 win over Slovakia at the Holinka Gretzky tournament last night. Canada will wrap up preliminary round action tonight against 2-0 Sweden. It's a game on TSN. Dustin Nielson has the call. Puck drop at 7:30. Canada bounced from men's basketball yesterday at the Paris Games 82-73. They lose to France in quarterfinals action. Canada going just 25 of 66 from the floor. Cameron Rogers, meanwhile, she claimed gold as she becomes the first ever Canadian to medal in the women's hammer throw. Sports update brought to you by the great staff at Park Mazda and dealer principal Mitch Lewicki, where he also can toss a hammer and dodge a wrench.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki as a ninja fighting off evil samurai.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
The Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
.34, you are tuned into the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, streaming on the iHeart and TuneIn Radio app, and of course live on YouTube as well. Hit the like, hit the sub. We are close to changing 100, and once we do that, you know what Trev hits. So 95 likes. Let's push that over 100, at least by our next guest, Mo Ager, who will be joining us in about 10 minutes' time. But first, we'll get into some free advice for DamonBunting.com. Of course, Lieutenant Eric, Joaquin Gage, and YouTube Trev with you today. Dustin Nielson covering the Holinka Gretzky. He'll have the call later today for all 3 games, including Canada-Sweden, the nightcap at 7:30. Free advice right now, DamonBunting.com. You know him, you love him. Damon Bunting, good friend of the show, the station, and he could be a good friend of yours as well. Consistent top-producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area and among Western Canadian RE/MAX realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home, Trev, if you're listening, or make the move from your current home. Community-driven, he understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out today, DamonBunting.com, or his Instagram, which is approaching yours in terms of, you know, just good looks, good videos, popularity, and whatnot. Damon Bunting Real Estate on the IG. There's a guy, Trev, that I might throw out. Why not? I mean, as Jim Wexell said earlier today, doesn't hurt to ask. And I think Damon Bunting could probably. I mean, we jokingly said he's the slumlord of slumlords, but a great realtor for Western Canada. Might be a little call.
Idea.
Call
I don't
arranged.
know why I never really thought of that, but
He probably knows somebody that would, like, maybe not him.
Yeah,
but
connections. For sure. I'm sure he's got a few.
This is
people
exciting.
he could ask. Yeah, I feel bad. Like, I know Jazz is like So many people are invested. It's gonna be my place, but everyone that's helped me out get my next place. So like they're gonna be in my housewarming party.
Oh, that party's gonna be a rager.
It'll be
if we're
awesome.
allowed to go.
Yeah. I was gonna say.
Well, invite them too.
Yeah.
You know, I think all the people that have done you wrong, just bring them too.
Yeah,
Like, you know that.
it'd be funny,
we can't wait. I mean, I almost like the fact that you're never going to move, and we keep it's the it's that progression thing that
the story that never ends.
Never ends.
Goes on
But
and on, my friends.
Trev's opened up here though. He's looking anywhere in the greater Edmonton area. Will be fine.
Anywhere.
So if you do know somebody, and you're flexible, basement ups. Well, I mean, whatever it takes right now.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever
honestly.
it takes. So
just a whole place of. It would be so nice. I've got a lot of stuff, and it's all crammed in my room right now, and I can't really put it in the house or anything like that. So I just need. Yeah, I need more space. That's the big thing. And
storage locker.
And
Sentinel storage. Maybe
that's
just
something
and just live in there too.
Yeah.
It's been done, right? I mean, you got your lock and key, and away you go.
my
Free
place.
parking. So if you have any free advice for Trev and his house hunting, I mean, please 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat. I know Big Maple. His advice is and I just refreshed the page here. This is why I bring up this oddball things to try and get Gage in a rabbit hole. His stories from back in the day are pure gold. More of that, please. That would be my advice to you as well. I do like kind of carving out maybe a story time, and you know, chapter 5, you know, and you get into your time in Germany or something like that. But no, we enjoy those. But any free advice for
Changing 100.
Yeah.
next
nice.
time? Just hit it. Just hit it. Yeah. I love it. Just interrupting right in there. 780-218-9999 is the free advice. Once again, DamonBunting.com. Great realtor, an even better guy. You can check him out, DamonBunting.com, or his Instagram, Damon Bunting Real Estate as well. I know fantasy season is approaching as well. I did have some questions for Dustin involving my CFL fantasy, to which, you know, I licked another loss over the weekend. My brother picked up Trey Ford, hey, so now he starts him in his Canadian spot. And he picked him up a few weeks ago reading the smoke signals, shall we say. And that's going to propel him too. I mean, barring injury now, he's got it made. So I wanted a little advice for my Dunya roster in the Memphis Mad Dogs, as we're still trying to lock down a playoff spot. But any fantasy questions pertaining to the NFL, obviously, get him in. We'll bookmark him, and maybe Dusty can read him when he gets back. I know probably Hustler in the Lock Shop, they'll be diving into that soon as well. So it's on the horizon now. We're free advice, and that's where the segment really came from, was NFL fantasy advice. So if you have any of that, send it in. We'll pass it off to Dusty. You're a fantasy NFL.
No.
So we've talked about an EST, ESPN, because it's very easy.
Yeah.
You don't even have to pay it. Like, who cares, right? But just get in there to get in there. But you don't mess around. There's no keeper leagues with you.
When you say keeper league and all that, I have no clue.
PPR?
That's isn't that going to the bathroom and having a doctor do something? I don't know.
I actually want you talking fantasy with Dustin and not knowing anything. And just
I think I'd like it to, like, because I do the F1 pool, you know, and that fantasy type of thing. It's good because it's not every day, you know. But
once a week is nice.
There's deadlines too, to the waiver wires, all these things. Like I've looked into it and I go, I don't have the time to really go into this, because those are, like, you see people at offices, like 2 screens. One of them's all their fantasy stuff, right? And they're the amount of procrastination for work. It's bad enough that Maddie and I talked about this too. Sometimes I got to get rid of TikTok, because sometimes I'll be on there for way too long. I'm just swiping forever.
Aren't we all?
It's just that quick little dopamine hit is nice sometimes, right? So, and you know, I do sometimes spend a little bit too much time on just F1 fantasy, and there's not a race for weeks, right? And I'm just like, what am I going to do?
But also different technical things in there, to which a standard fan of racing may not. I mean, you're really going deep.
No,
As much like NFL,
I go a little bit deeper.
Yeah. Well, the worst thing is in fantasy, whatever fantasy sport is, when you go deep, you have all the prep, and then it turns out to be a stinker anyways, because you can't control who you're up against necessarily. Like, you can only.
And that show, like, I always mean to watch the whole thing, but that show, The League, it's like, what's the guy's name? The
Wexell.
Yeah, and I mean, I think he was supposed to have a show that he just the guy that sings the song, right? The birthday song, is that
Le Joie? Yeah. Taco.
So I don't know if this was real or something, but it could have just been a an advert for something, but it was him moving. He moved into a place, and the guy that before died, but he was a psychologist, and he just took over his job. So people would come in because he's the new psychologist in this house, and he would have them on his couch talking to him, and just the worst advice.
That show, like Drive to Survive, kind of gave fantasy more of a public. I mean, the wives are doing it. Iron Man's doing it. You don't even know anything. Toopsuck says, I completely feel that fantasy football would take away the enjoyment of watching football. In a sense, you do pay attention to most avenues you wouldn't necessarily or normally pay attention to, which is nice, but. Yeah, and Box Punter says, YTT, just evict Whale and the Wolf and move into the EST closet. I mean, that would be, I don't know if that's a step up from your current situation, but...
Dusty and I were talking about that,
You have space in there.
Yeah, there is quite a bit of space in there. Dusty was saying when he was in, or just out of college, he was in a room that was about that big, so it's doable.
Isn't there another spot here that's...
yeah, could you imagine?
Yes.
Yeah, what are you doing here? Nothing.
I always like the RV. Just go full Cousin Eddie.
Yeah.
Straight up front.
That's one day. One day I want an RV. Just live in it, travel, just go fish. Oh, that would
be great. A guy around the corner from me. Well, it's on my dog walk. He's got one of those Airstream ones, those silver bullet things that
those
look
are
like.
Great, yeah.
But I didn't realize it because I was, it's an Airstream, and you see I looked online, and you get closer to it, and he has the Tommy Bahama Airstream, which if you don't, Tommy Bahamas, you see those old guys in Florida with the silk shirts. That's that Tommy Bahama crap. It's really expensive, but you can see there's marlin engraved on the side of the. You don't see it on the Airstream until you get close. I was like, what is on there? And then I went home and looked at it online on the inside, and it's a palace in there. So.
Any marlin aesthetic, I'll gobble up
yeah, I
right
think
away,
you can get one actually stuffed above the master bedroom in that thing.
And keep the league quotes flying in the YouTube nasty chat as well. I'm loving that. It's giving me a giggle.
Oh.
I do believe we have our next guest. He's locked and loaded, and we appreciate his time as always. He returns to the show. Mo Egger, afternoons, ESPN 1530 down in Cincinnati. We're going to talk a little Bengals here, so Bengals fans, if you are awake at this hour or you know one, wake them up kindly and say, hey, they're talking Bengals on EST, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps, and as well on YouTube. Lieutenant Eric, Joaquin Gage, YouTube Trev behind the monitors. But Mo, welcome back to the program. I just wanted to get into this thing. Bengals and Bucks Saturday at 5. That'll be the preseason kickoff for Cincinnati. But before we get into the X's and O's or anything on the field, your thoughts on the Joe Burrow look these days. Opinion on the haircut, if any, Mo?
Well, I think you have to take into consideration the quarterback we're talking about here. If that's Baker Mayfield or someone like that, we're all making fun of him. But it's Joe Burrow. He's Teflon. He's rescued the franchise. He can do whatever he wants. He looks like a high school kid from 2007. But, if it works for him, then it works for most of us here.
And that kind of goes, that's how the franchise is going right now. It's Joe Burrow country. He just had such a nice coif of hair that I'm sad to see that go. But I like the good look. And you mentioned, too, he's got that attitude and that style, and that's kind of what the Bengals have taken. How's he looking, I guess, thus far? Injury issues and all that, but is this like a new Joe Burrow, new haircut, new man 2.0 type of feel as we get into camp here?
The hair is different. Joe, when he throws the football, looks exactly the same. He has, I think, relative to everybody's expectations, 9 months ago when he came off that field in Baltimore suffering that wrist injury, he is, I don't want to say he has surprised people because, if you followed in the offseason, he has been throwing the entire time. Everything's been ramping up toward training camp, and then we'll continue to ramp up toward the regular season. But I think when Joe first went down with that injury, we wondered, is this going to be something that's going to compromise the start of his 2024? Nothing that he has done on the field, whether it be during OTAs or during training camp, would suggest that they have anything to worry about. What's interesting is that the Bengals have typically not played Joe Burrow during the preseason. There have been reasons for that. He had an appendectomy 2 years ago. He had the calf issue early in training camp last year. But Zach Taylor comes from the Sean McVay school, which says don't play anybody who matters in games that don't count. But the last 2 years, the Bengals have gotten off to slow starts. They've started 0-2 each of the last 2 years. And beyond that, I think they've looked just unprepared. And so I think they're going to try a different approach, play some guys who actually, figure the factor when the games actually count, and that starts with Joe Burrow, unless there's something that derails the plan. Plan right now is for Joe to take the field and play at least a series on Saturday night.
It starts with Joe Burrow, Mo, but let's go to the running backs, Chase Brown, Zach Moss. How's that battle shaping up, and kind of how do you see this offense, again, Burrow-led, but just the dynamic with the running backs and the receivers? How do you kind of see this one shaking out as the year transpires?
Yeah, it's the one major difference, right? Joe Mixon's no longer here, off to the Houston Texans, and so the Bengals are going to use Chase Brown, who they drafted in 2023, and saw glimpses of last year, and Zach Moss, who did a heck of a job last season with the Indianapolis Colts, backing up Jonathan Taylor. I think there's two things you have to consider. Number one, it's the modern day NFL, so it's more like 1 and 1A, right? Yeah. We don't do the thing in the NFL anymore where one guy gets 25 carries and the other guy gets 3. There's going to be some sort of split. I think the other thing you have to remember is, look, when the Bengals run the football, they're doing what the other team's defensive coordinator wants them to do. Yeah. So this is never going to be a run-heavy team. I think what they're looking for is, number one, more explosiveness when they do run, which Joe Mixon wasn't giving them. And they're also looking for backs who can do more things. For all the good that Joe Mixon did here, he was not the guy on the field on third down because they knew he couldn't pass protect. And so when you took Joe Mixon off the field, it kind of told the other team's defense what they were going to do. And so I think they're looking for guys who can just do more, even if doing more doesn't necessarily mean that they do everything really, 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 really well. I think the other thing that's really interesting with this team from that standpoint is, Joe Burrow famously only loves to operate in the shotgun. When he got hurt last year and Jake Browning took over, Bengals found some success with him under center, with them putting, 2 tight ends on the field and a running back, occasionally 2 running backs on the field. And I think they want to blend some of the things they did when Joe was hurt with what Joe does really well. And so if you've watched the Bengals carefully over the years, you have rarely seen Joe Burrow under center. I think you're going to see some of that this year, which I think is going to help the running game, and which I think the ultimate goal is to have that help the play action game, which has been something that they've never really been able to tap into since Joe got here.
You hate to see people get injured, right in training camp. Saying that Cam Sample lost for the 2024 season. He's been kind of part of that defensive line rotation. Is that a huge hole that the Bengals are going to have to fill this year, or what is kind of their backup plan in that on the other side of the ball?
Well, Cam is, if you look at the Bengals defensive line, he's not the biggest name, right? That's Trey Hendrickson, 17.5 sacks last year. But in terms of an experienced rotational piece, he's played in 47 of their last 51 games, and he was kind of the one guy that they were comfortable using both on the inside of that defensive line and on the outside. I think, though, that is a position where they felt like, there's a decent chance we cut a good player. So who do you look at now? I look at Joseph Osai. This is Joseph Osai's 4th year with the Bengals. They drafted him in 2021. His time in Cincinnati has been marred by injury and just lack of consistent production. And I think there were a lot of us who thought, he might be the odd man out once cutdown day gets here. I think he now has a golden opportunity. But that overall position group, it's not been an easy last couple of weeks. Sam Hubbard, who is, I think in many respects, sort of the glue of the defensive line, got injured a week and a half ago, hasn't been on the practice field. Trey Hendrickson has practiced once, and now Cam Sample's out for the season. They really can't afford any more bad things to happen on that D-line. But as the next few weeks unfold, I would pay attention to the name Joseph Osai, and I think it also puts a larger spotlight on Miles Murphy, who's the player they drafted in round 1 in 2023 out of Clemson, who really did show some flashes late last season into what the Bengals think he can be.
Mo Egger joining us, covers the Bengals down in Cincinnati, afternoons on ESPN 1530. Just sticking with that injury issue and Cam Sample, any time for a Yannick Ngakoue? I know that there's a bit of smoke and winds out there on that front. Anything closer between those two parties, or just a bit of a smoke screen out there?
I don't know that anything is going to happen with the way things stand right now, but there's still a month to go before the regular season. They have a really condensed preseason schedule this year. And so I think right now they want to see what they have. I think right now they want to see what they have. They're going to have a pair of joint practices, one against the Bears, one against the Colts. They have 3 games in less than 2 weeks, starting on Saturday night. And so I think they're open to the idea of signing a veteran. The name Carl Lawson has been brought up a lot because he started his career here. I think with where things stand right now, they're comfortable with who they have. But more injury can change that, and just the way things unfold in the preseason can change that. So that's certainly an area where if you're wondering if the Bengals are going to add an established player, start there and pay attention to it over the next couple of weeks.
Mo, I also, and again, you are speaking to Canada, as you are aware, and Zach Taylor with his cup of coffee with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, we make our tie in there. But we do have a question here from our YouTube chat. Sailor wants to know, when does London, Ontario-born Chase Brown become the number 1 RB? Maybe not just yet, maybe not tomorrow, but have you seen anything from him? What can you share on your thoughts on Chase Brown, the Canadian?
Chase Brown's going to be a big part of this team. I don't know if he is going to lead the team in carries. I sort of think, if both guys stay healthy, there's going to be a split in duties between Zach Moss and Chase Brown. But Chase Brown did some really electrifying things in the rare glimpses we saw of him last year. One of the more puzzling things about him was, when Joe Burrow got hurt and they had to use the running backs more, Chase Brown got a lot of opportunities. And then it felt like toward the end of the season, those opportunities dried up. But look, they drafted him with the idea that he was going to be on the list of guys who are one day going to take over for Joe Mixon. That time is here. And so, as this season unfolds, I think from a statistical standpoint, it's not far-fetched to suggest that Chase might not lead the team in carries. But I do believe they have a big, big role planned for him. And based on what we saw last year, there's something to build on. And if they can build upon that successfully, look out. He could really be a weapon in this offense.
And Mo, just a couple more for you. We had a fun one from a listener that we'll kind of cap this thing with. But we did have Jim Wexell on Talking Steelers earlier in the show. Just wanted to know your expectations division-wise with the Bengals heading. We all know what the Ravens are. I mean, I don't think we need to go there too much. Steelers, you don't know. But where do you see the Bengals right now? Because it's just been a funny time. And I wanted to get a little Zach Taylor and team buy-in with him and how he's kind of handling this thing. But, I mean, are the Bengals back? Were they ever really, truly, fully gone? Where do you kind of have them slotted when it comes to this division when the dust settles?
Well, it's the best division in the sport, right? Yeah. And so, if you're gonna handicap the division, I think you have to take a really good, serious look at every team. I think it's fair to say that Baltimore right now should be considered the favorite, although they obviously did suffer a lot of losses during the offseason. Yeah. Here's what I know, okay? When Joe Burrow plays a full season, the Bengals win the division. I think it's, for me, as simple as that. If he can play 16, 17 games, the track record would suggest they have a very good chance to win the division because that's what they do. You're being fair if you are sitting on your hands a little bit when it comes to Joe Burrow's health, just because he has been, he's had such a hard time staying on the field. I think the more interesting things about the Bengals beyond Joe, they have to be better rushing the passer, and they were the worst team in the NFL last year giving up the deep ball. They were also putrid in the division, just 1-5.
Yeah.
Those things have to get better. But look, if it could go wrong last year, it did, and they still went 9-8. That's with Joe Burrow basically playing 4 good games. If I get number 9 for 16, 17 games, I feel good about their chances. Cleveland, it feels like we're asking the same questions we were a year ago. Yeah. Who or what is Deshaun Watson? And you could tell me the Pittsburgh Steelers could win 12 games. You could convince me they're only going to win maybe 7 or 8. Yeah. Anecdotally, they're all, on a week-to-week basis, they're always going to be a tough out. Obviously, famously so, Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. They're, to me, the team that is most difficult to sort of put your finger on. I'm not necessarily sure that's a good thing, but I'm not necessarily sure that's a bad thing either.
Yeah, it's almost a bit of a classic Steeler thing there as well. You don't really know what they're... one last one for you, and a bit of a fun one, comes in from Salty Turtle in our text line, 780-218-9999. The boys and I are planning a trip to Cincy for a Bengals game November 1-4. What else is there to do in Cincinnati to round out our trip? Thanks, Salty Turtle. Do you have any suggestions there, Mo, for a November 1-4 gallivant through Cincinnati?
Well, it depends on what you're into. I could tell you that it's, for game day itself, the area around the stadium is awesome. If you happen to stumble into the Holy Grail, that's where I do my show on Bengals game day, so come in and say hello. It is a town that has become really well known for two things that I love. Beer, because it's an old German town. We've got a ton of breweries. We've also got a killer food scene, and everybody talks about, Skyline Chili, which I obviously love. Got to try Skyline Chili. But our restaurant scene, especially downtown, is pretty awesome. And from Edmonton to Cincinnati in November, it'll probably be like a 50-degree difference. It'll probably be pretty warm still. So I think you'll have a really good time.
The Chili's made its way into the chat a few times during this segment, Mo, so you know how popular it is. We appreciate your time once again, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy preseason ball kicking off this weekend. We get things going, Bengals-Bucks Saturday at 5. But appreciate your time, Mo, and have a good show later today.
Okay, thanks. See you.
There it is, Mo Egger, afternoons, ESPN 1530 down in Cincinnati. Great guest, dialed into the Bengals as well. And Salty Turtle, if you are down there, visit him in the Holy Grail. Tell him EST sent you, and maybe give him a pin or a hat or some stuff like that.
Coolbet has the AFC North Division winner, Baltimore at plus 140, Cincinnati plus 165. He alludes to it. If they have a healthy Burrow, even with, what did he go out, like week 11? I think I just read that he went out and they finished the season 9. And Trev, you were saying, the guy's a stud. He's such a stud.
He's got swagger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Serious swagger.
When you can do a haircut like that, and everybody's like, as he mentioned, Baker Mayfield, certain quarterbacks can, certain quarterbacks can't.
But he kind of backs it up. I do worry. He does. I mean, he's a big guy, but he just seems kind of small out there, and hopefully their offensive line does a better job of protecting him, because he can do it all. He's one of those guys that's the complete hybrid, right? There's so many things that he can do.
And good weaponry as well. I don't mind the split back system instead of a one, and again, when Mixon wouldn't be, they knew it. They're way too predictable. I know it's a fantasy headache for owners out there, but the more the merrier. And keep the defense guessing with as many options as you can for me.
I'm a Burrow fan. I'd like to see him get back to the Super Bowl for sure.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. And again, but what are that division, again, a tricky one, because you mentioned Baltimore did lose some. You would still think, though, again, looking at quarterback play and everything, they should be right near the top. Pittsburgh, even with Jim, I mean, we don't really know. It could be, it could not be, but that's the Steelers.
Yeah.
Browns still, I mean, we know Deshaun Watson is expensive. That's one thing we do know that he is. But again, the jury's still out kind of on that. Pun not intended.
Oh, yes, it is.
But the Bengals, I mean, you go as high as Joe Burrow, and if he's there and healthy and ripping it up, and with the weapons he has, I'd say sky's the limit for them. But a very, very tough division as well. I see you, Bison Mask guy. What day is Baltimore Ravens on? You'll know later on today. I'll tweet out the lineup tomorrow night, maybe, or later tonight for tomorrow, and we'll see what we get. I just go down there and I just text everybody in the media guide and just see who gets back. So it's kind of wild. I don't really plan anything, but today we were a little AFC action there within the division. So I hope now everybody's talking about chili and then asked each other, EST chili cook-off contest. Woo!
There was talk about that last year. Maddie was talking about chili.
And he doesn't have beans.
Yeah, the no beans
thing. Texas chili, I think. Yeah.
Love beans.
You got to have a bean in there.
Oh, we had, what was it? What could I eat for the rest of my life? Glue Guy asked me what I would eat on a deserted island.
Okay, yeah.
What if I had one food choice? What would it be? And I said bean burrito. If I can eat those all the time.
Great protein.
Yeah.
Easy. You don't really, it's just a staple. You just get it in you. It's like eating eggs or something like that, eh?
Yeah.
Chili. I wouldn't. Are you a bean guy, Trev? You like beans in your chili?
I like
or not?
beans.
Yeah. You got it.
Big bean guy.
Baked beans, kidney beans, the whole bit. Throw them all in there. Right? Yeah, throw it all in the pot. That's the best thing about chili.
I know.
You shouldn't be saying, "Ooh, I don't want." No, it's all in there. It's all encompassing. Makes the soup. Scalding Gourd says Cincinnati musts. Got to see all the WKRP sites, including the site of the Great Turkey Drop debacle of October 1977. You could probably, it's probably like the Full House. You go there, you get a picture. Like it's something there.
Did you ever watch WKRP in Cincinnati?
I was never into that. It was never in my day, but I never kind of rewatched
if you were to watch it now, just being like
should
the
I get in?
background-
Like first to
Well, I don't know. Just you might find it funny, some of the radio things.
I think I'd
they
cry,
did
though,
that.
like because it was so much. Radio was so much fun and better, and even the
yeah.
past 10 years, it was so much fun and better. This is fun and better too, but in a radio
Lonnie
station.
Anderson.
It's I might have to dive into that. Why not? It'll be like last summer when I watched Lost when we were unemployed.
Oh, did you?
Crushed the whole damn thing.
Was that the first time you watched it?
But the season finale or the show finale, I kind of fell asleep and I never bothered. So I still don't know what happened.
Okay.
I can tell you everything up to the final, but don't spoil it for me.
No. This was back in the day when there wasn't any streaming services, but I was over in Europe. So whenever anyone went home, they brought a CD pack, like a season of something, right? So Lost was one of them, and I think there was only like 3 seasons. So I think I've watched the first 3, and it was just really like the polar bear and the mist and stuff.
It's all going around.
It's
everywhere.
It's everywhere. So I've never finished it either. I did. The OC was quite popular back then. I played with a German guy that thought he said, "I'm moving there. Is that what the OC's like?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it is.
Totally, yeah.
That's what it's like."
Listen, if you want to get to the chili talk, maybe we'll do that next. It's 3 questions, too many kind of easy trivia. If you want to play trivia, though, Gage has got the questions today. You know how we do. 3 for 5. It'll send you to Mr. Mike's. We'll give a gift card for that. Text in 780-218-9999. Say, Trev, I want to play trivia. I want to play trivia right now. 780-218-9999. Kind of easy trivia coming up next for Mr. Mike's. And maybe we'll do some chili questions as well for 3 questions too many. But keep that nasty chat humming. We are close to changing 200, I do believe. Well, we'll get there by the end of the show. Why not? But if you are watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up. Hit the sub as well. It is Lieutenant Eric, Joaquin Gage, and YouTube Trev Nielson Show coming to you live from the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen Studio, presented by South Fort Chev. We'll have a sports update. And once again, if you want to play trivia, 780-218-9999. Text in, I want to play, and Trev will give you a call. Canada improving to 2-0 last night with a 5-1 victory over Slovakia at the Hlinka Gretzky tournament. Canada wrap up preliminary round action tonight against 2-0 Sweden. 7:30 on TSN. Dustin Nielson has the call. On the diamond last night, the Riverhawks thumping the Night Owls 9-2 out in Nanaimo. That series finale and season finale will go tonight back in Nanaimo between the two clubs, and it's a game we'll have for you on Edmonton Sports Talk. Our coverage begins at 7:35. Jays topping the Orioles 5-2 from Toronto last night. Alejandro Kirk with a 3-run homer. That series continues tonight. First pitch, 5:07. Over to the Paris games. Canada bounced yesterday for men's basketball in quarterfinals action. They lose to host France 82-73. Cameron Rogers, meanwhile, claiming gold in the women's hammer throw. Take your career to the next level with Claiborne Services. They are hiring all positions, including journeyman bricklayers and apprentices of all levels. Take advantage of their outstanding mentorship program and work with peace of mind knowing they are an industry leader in safety. For more, check out www.claiborneservices.com or make it easy and call Jeff, 780-910-6728.
Closer to the hollow, the devil may care. If I showed you around my heart, would you mind if I shared to show you what's wrong with me? I will not change it. I will wait patiently while you get painted out. Let me into your untainted tribe to be the one who gets to live a lie. Oh, let me lie with you. I'll be a perfect stranger. I wanna be that stupid boy that you don't talk about. You better believe there's a sharp knife beside my bed. You
p.m. 8:06, Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, streaming iHeart, TuneIn radio apps, and, of course, live, crystal clear video on YouTube. And we are coming to you live from the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen Studio. Check them out today. Bone in, bone out wings in a variety of flavors. Delicious from Popeyes. And, of course, the Nielson Show presented by South Fort Chevrolet. For the best deal at the best price, go see Daniel and his team in Fort Saskatchewan. Tell them EST sent you. You'll get 15% off accessories on your new ride. Your go-to dealer for Silverado 1500s and heavy duties. Check them out today, www.southfortchev.com. YouTube Trev will be wrangling somebody on for kind of easy trivia for Mr. Mike's. Gager will have the questions for that. The contestant will need 3 out of 5, and they'll be off to Mr. Mike's. Simple as that. If you have any questions as well, 3 questions too many. I think we have a handful, but we can always flex in one of yours, 780-218-9999, or in the YouTube Nasty Chat. Let us know what you'd like to be discussed today, chili or otherwise. We're also still looking for text of the day for A&W in the Paris Jewelers inbox, 780-218-9999. I think Deaky Sparks still holds the lead for text of the day as YouTube Trev triumphantly puts out his fist like a speed walker getting to the finish line. Who do we got on the line today, Trev?
Today, Chris is going to give it a go.
Chris, big Chris. Chris with a K, Chris with a CH?
CH. Chris
CH,
with the CH.
Chris. Welcome to the show, Chris. Have you played before?
Yes, I have.
And what is the winning percentage or record?
I'm batting 1,000 over both stations' lifetimes.
Okay, so the double dip, I love it. You're a keystone player here in this segment. You know how it goes then. Trev will start the ticker after Gage reads the first question. All you need is 3 out of 5. Good luck, man.
Thanks a lot.
All right, here we go. Did Canada's U17 hockey team win yesterday?
Yes.
Did Canada's men's basketball team win against France?
No.
Andre DeGrasse has a semifinal event in what race today, the 200 or the 10,000 meters?
200 meters.
Did the Blue Jays win yesterday?
Yes.
True or false, Canada won both men's and women's hammer throw?
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
5. And Sergio Ramos gets a nipple erection.
Oh, is that dirty?
This is not just a dream, it's a wet dream of orgasmic proportions.
Oh, is that dirty?
Frustration sets in and the emotion goes out, and then you just start playing by yourself.
Oh, is that dirty?
You cannot come to my house. No, not today.
You cannot come to my house. No, not today.
There you go, Chris, making it easy. I mean, I know a few of those answers were yes, but hey,
no,
that's
the
fine.
Blue Jays one. I mean, we jump on that bandwagon. I think there's some hardcore Blue Jays.
You'd
fans.
bank on them losing if you didn't know, though. If it was a coin, if you didn't know anything, and you're telling me the Jays this season, I'd probably say lost.
I'm a very fair weather Jays fan. I just if I hear them. You know, if they're doing well, I'll kind of keep my ear to the ground.
Check in. Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing better than playoff baseball in the new stadium there, and everyone's it's fun to get around as a country when you have one team in it, and with some meaningful playoff type game. You learn the strategy of it, the batting order.
Ball, yeah.
You know, the pitchers. You start learning what their specialties are and who's coming back. I love the whole the whole strategy point of baseball at that point. It's really fascinating.
And the time of the year. Let's be honest. The weather is kind of cool and on both fronts. And for all you Western Canadians out there watching and listening this morning, the Mariners top of the AL West. I'll just say, in terms of, Toronto can do whatever they want, and that's fine. We can all jump on but if you've jumped off, jump on the Mariners wagon. It's much closer. Great park out there, and they've currently lost 2 in a row, but still sit atop the AL West. Nice. So go Tridents up, as they say in Seattle way. So yeah, hop on. Lots of room on the Mariners bandwagon if you'd care to join. 780-218-9999 is the number to text. Once again, come after that text of the day for A&W right now. Buy one, get one free on their chilled iced root beers. So a great deal there. But Chris, he's off to Mr. Mike's Steakhouse Casual, the casualest place ever. Hampton Inn, corner of 137th Avenue and Mark Messier Trail. We'll get in right now to 3 questions too many, brought to you by Park Mazda. Dealer principal Mitch Lewicki, who loves baseball, and usually in the fall, if the Jays are out of the postseason, will construct a ball game on the lot. Park Mazda, your dealer for life. He loves baseball that much, and I know Mitch will probably be queuing up for the Riverhawks playoff tickets whenever those drop or are announced.
Mitch is one guy. If he knows, if you build it, they will come. That's what he's done with Park Mazda.
That's the dealership. It is. It's like it used to be in a cornfield, and now it's bulldozed down, and it's Mazda's.
Mitch and Papa Mitch having a catch.
Oh, that's nice. That paints a nice picture. Socials. Trev, what do we got here?
Yeah, you can give me a follow on Twitter, YouTube _Trev, and I'm on a race with Glue Guy to the first 1,000. And
really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess you were gone
Interesting.
when we were discussing this.
Sometimes he tweets out and he goes really viral for some reason.
Yeah, we were talking about that. So yeah, I want to beat him. Help me beat him. Just joking.
That's sure.
You don't have to.
He's going to have his own little program soon, but I think you can use this program to kind of battle him, right?
Yeah, that's why Dusty was saying. Like, we're real close. So, you want to give me a follow there, and also I have a YouTube channel. That's why, hence YouTube Trev.
Yep.
If you want to go check that out, above average, one word on YouTube, and I think. My last video I uploaded just reached 5,000 subs. So
wow,
pretty cool. So yeah, Defs, go help me out there as well.
You have 701 followers right now on Twitter. Jason Milne, Glue Guy 812.
Okay.
You're over 7, so you didn't look. Okay, perfect. Changing 700.
That's huge.
Look, this is a nice little race here. I think you could pip him here by the weekend.
Yeah.
Us having these
Let's
shows.
do it. Go on.
What's he doing? He's probably doing the hangout.
Hang out on Friday.
But he doesn't start till September.
Oh,
so
he's listening right now, and he's like, damn it.
This is like the morning after the drafts when you can really get those votes in, that type of thing. But
help me out. Let's go now,
at
Steve.
YouTube _Trev on Twitter. Give the boy a follow.
That'd be dope.
Let's get him going. Beat the Glue Guy. Beat the glue. Gager? Where can people find you?
Hold on, I just got to follow.
Oh, yes.
I got to follow YouTube Trev. There you go. There's one more. But
yes.
Let's go.
Let's
go. Thank you, Gager.
You're welcome.
702.
You're welcome. Joaquin Gage at Joaquin Gage 31 on the Twitter box. Joaquin Gage on Instagram. I have to talk about Trev about a YouTube channel and.
For the financial. That's
financial
the
things.
game,
I'm gonna put out starting in the fall. I think I'm going to try to do a little bit more, quick little shorts and financial tips. Just help people out. That's what I do.
You know a guy? I can help you out, Gage.
Yeah, super.
I think people helping people here. This is nice. You can let him reside in one of your rooms in your house, and then he gives you
we got the room. Yeah, I know.
This is all working out here. Real good. The Wolf chimes in. Morning, boys. I know it's going to be a good day because I'm 20 minutes from the Coquihalla Summit and still have service. Too bad Canada's basketball team didn't have my kind of luck, or am I lucky that I don't have French officials controlling my service out here? Ooh, and he went the officials route, did he? Hey, it's always, when you got the host, I think you can always maybe take a glance to that. I'm not going to use that as a full excuse. I don't think the players
influence,
but maybe perhaps. I mean, we'll get Josh Lewenberg's thoughts. He'll join us just after 8:30 for more on yesterday's game. Where does the program kind of go from here? Because let's be honest, Canadians men's basketball, much like the soccer, it used to not be too much aside from your Steve Nash or whatever. But this is good youth, a good system, a good base. And again, I don't think too many people. You maybe a podium, but I think losing to France isn't necessarily something you're so disappointed.
I'm a little disappointed.
Yeah.
I thought there was podium possibilities.
Yeah, I think possibility, but
yeah. And you know what? I think I don't know. We'll talk to Lewenberg about this and see what he thinks. If it was a little bit too much putting the cart before the horse with this and looking a little bit beyond France.
Sometimes, and that can be a thing too in these tournaments, and you maybe read clippings or what have you, but. Once again, Josh Lewenberg, TSN, he's on the beat for the basketball, NBA and otherwise, but he'll be by to recap that Canada-France game just after 8:30 as well. That's good coming up as well in a matter of minutes, but we'll get to 3 questions too many once again right now, brought to you by Park Mazda. And question number 1, boys, and Trev, if you want to chime in, feel free. Question number 1, what makes a good chili? You could start, I guess, with chili powder. It's in the name, right? You need a bit of a kick and a spice and a bit of a maybe paprika type of heat. But in terms of ingredients, I mean, what is one thing that you cannot and must not have your chili without?
It all comes down to kind of the stock, I think, that you're putting in there. And when you, if you can go get some good beef marrow bones, put them in the oven, get that oven like at 450, and just bake those out with some. I usually add some vegetables in there, and then make that nice stock. First of all, for the chili, boil them.
Get your Holy Trinity in there, whatever it is.
Reduce a little bit, the bouquets arni in there, and go from there. I think that's where it starts.
I'm glad you said that because that's important. I think you can even take out beef. You don't need. You can have turkey. You can have various proteins in your chili, but that vegetable base and that stock, and you don't want it too watery.
No,
but you don't want it too thick either. I want a bit of a dipping. I want to dip a bit of a bread in there.
I go the big, huge pot, and that's an all-day reduction. Like
the Dutch oven.
You can smell the start of it like halfway down the block, essentially.
And that's the key to a good one. Yeah. And look, full of beans. We're full of beans.
Full of beans.
Team bean. Give me the kidney, the baked. I mean, do the rest if you want. Trev, do you have any?
No.
Hey, you can. Yeah, that's all good, man.
Confessions. No. Yeah, I've never made chili. Okay, I said it.
Oh, that's okay.
That's great. You know what? I would go to. I wonder if they have some ready-made kits. There's a lot of places you can just get and you just basically just add the beef.
Because you might think it's overwhelming, but as he says, you put it all in the pot, you let it sit there and simmer all day. All you got to do is throw it in there.
Do you have like a crock pot?
No, I do not.
No?
But that's add that to the list
put
of
it on the
things
Christmas list.
I'm going to get for sure.
Instapot. Get
Instapot.
Get the Instapot.
As a bachelor among town, he's got to have.
The pressure cooker's a must.
Yeah.
Try that one.
Yeah. Whatever Grandma makes, Grandma's got some really good chili back home. So whatever she does, that's what I'd say.
Does she put corn in it?
Yes.
Okay, because that too is a bit of a debate.
That's what does it.
Fish Tank chimes in with just corn. CORN.
That does it.
But I like you had a can of that at the end. You don't not too early, but that's your topper. You're finishing off.
Yeah.
Adds a little color to it all. Yeah. Gotta have corn. Gotta have beans. None of this Texas chili crap. It was funny at the tailgate last year too. I think it was the Cortys, but somebody made up like Iwanic chili, like no beans and everything, and he missed it. He missed it. They served it all. It was too good. It went too fast apparently. Question number 2. It's National Sea Serpent Day. Only national, not international. What is your favorite cryptozoologic animal? Ogopogo, Bigfoot, the Yeti, I found one today. It's funny that this happens because on Twitter there's somebody saying this Pennsylvania creature who, again, may or may not exist, but it's like this giant slug that walks around crying, and you can only find it through its trails of tears. Like so the legend says. It's this big slug-looking thing. But what do you guys, I mean, what is it? Is it the half man, half horse centaur type of deal, or are we just traditional Bigfoot boys here in this room?
No, I've seen too many weird looking Bigfoot things. They look too fake. I mean, national. That's tough because I'm thinking
you can go out in the world if
really
you like.
Like being more on the sci-fi spectrum, like El Chupacabra. You know
I love the El
goat.
Chupacabra. Yeah,
nothing like a goat bloodsucker monster running through the
and there's some footage of those things.
Yeah,
I mean, believe what you want.
So, I think I'll go with El Chupacabra.
It's got to be Bigfoot for me.
Yeah, it's a classic.
I remember I was convinced, my grandpa and my dad, they convinced me that Bigfoot was real. And my first time out in Manitoba, I was like 7 years old. Didn't see the folks that much, but I remember I went there, and the whole trip, my dad was saying, "Oh yeah, I've seen Bigfoot. It's terrifying." And I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." And like tonight, that's what we're doing. We're gonna go sightseeing for Bigfoot. And so I'm like, "Okay, let's go." And I'm like kind of excited. I'm nervous. It was pitch dark. It was like 10 o'clock when we got there. And the first thing I was like, "Can we go look for Bigfoot?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's what we're doing right now." And I had no idea, but obviously they planned it out. My grandpa, he was under this bridge.
Oh, no.
And he's like, this is where I always went looking for Bigfoot. And so it's like pitch black. It's like there's no streetlights or anything. We've got one flashlight. And he's like, this is the way. And I'm like, okay, this is awesome. And all of a sudden I just hear my grandpa, and he's just growling. And it absolutely terrified. Like it was. I ran.
Yeah.
Like I was like, no, like I'm out. And then so that's my Bigfoot story. But yeah, it was obviously my grandpa. We have laughs about that now. But
well, they punch you there, but do you still maintain it exists? Because I do.
Yeah, he does.
You can't prove me it doesn't.
It does. Yeah, whatever it is, it's out there. I know. The footage, some of the videos I've seen, I'm like,
the walking one.
Yeah, the walking one. It looks. I'm like, okay, that's so like anyone could do
but the
that.
first time seeing that is it creeps you out. Like that's a bit of a creepy thing. But
yeah, it's a scary thing. It's always scared me. I know what's out there. And I've heard it growl.
Why not, right? The ocean, we always talk about the ocean, the depths. Oh, there's some, you don't know what's down in there.
Yeah.
Same with the woods. You got to think that there's one walking around and doing its thing.
That's been elusive for centuries.
And with Ogopogo, I mean, I don't know if you saw that. I just retweeted from the St. Louis Blues account. Nick Leddy was on a fishing trip with his dad. A 10'3" sturgeon.
Yeah.
In BC. And this thing, I mean, they're holding it. The pictures are great. But you see that going and cresting the water, you're like, that's a monster. It's a fish,
monster.
but I mean, you can kind of tell maybe where some of these accounts come from. But look at it. You kidding me? I just retweeted it as well at Lieutenant_Eric. But Letty and his dad with a mammoth out there in BC. But yeah, Bigfoot's, I think they all, even the Yeti, I mean, out in the Appalachians or the...
the Appalachian
Mountains. That type of thing. But question number 3 to finish things up here. Expectations for Philip Broberg this season, gentlemen.
Well, let's hope he's signing a contract first.
That's Bowman, you're on the clock.
That's he's got to get rolling here. I mean, Jeff was doing stuff, he's getting too comfortable in his role so far, old Mr. Bowman. I have high expectations, man. That kid was he stepped into the most important part of hockey on anywhere in the planet, and
I'm a broken record, but that Dallas series introduction,
that goal, it was he did something that I thought wasn't going to happen, and that was going to make Vinny Desharnais expendable, and it was crazy. And hopefully, I mean, it's the start of a new year. Hopefully, he starts out in the right foot and can keep this progress going, because that just to have homegrown talent, like, and not having to look outward.
Yeah.
At other places to replace something.
Scrap heaping and
that's huge.
And as you mentioned, I mean, we all talk about the Draisaitl deal looming as well, top priority, but Broberg and Holloway still in need of those deals as well. So I mean, Trev, just in terms of on ice, let's say, I mean, obviously they'll probably he comes back, but for this season, I guess.
Expectations for Broberg, like I've got just from what I saw in the playoffs, like I've got pretty big expectations. He kind of honestly, like, he put himself on that level where you're like expecting big things, because he impressed everybody, right? That's why he stayed in the lineup. And it's ironic the Hlinka Gretzky Cup's going on right now, and I've talked about this before. But if you're ever bored, look what he was able to do in the 2018 Hlinka Gretzky Cup. His highlights were insane. He was going like from his own end. It was just crazy what he was able to do. And he shot up the ranks. He was like supposed to be a late first round pick, and then Craig Budden talked about it last week when we had him on. He was insane. It was really impressive. So I'm not expecting that, obviously. But he's comfortable. He definitely has the confidence. I don't know if I'm going to get into points or anything like that, but I think he's going to impress a lot of people. I'm excited to see what Philip Broberg is going to do this season, and it's nice. It's so nice because a lot of people were beginning to question if he was ever going to make it, if he was ever going to turn out to be that first round pick. But it looks, I mean, from all accounts, it looks like he's trending in that direction. So I'm very excited to see what he does this season, and just keep doing what he's doing. He knows he can do it now, right? So just keep doing what you're doing. He did it at the highest level against some of the, like, you talk about Dallas, like 4 of the best teams in the world, right? So just keep doing what you're doing. You know you can do it. Obviously, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are going to be like, okay, man, you belong here. Yeah. This is your time. So he's going to stay. I can't wait. Oilers fans, you should be excited.
Rip City Step chiming in, 780-218-9999, Paris Jewelers Inbox, YouTube Trev, the #1 Broberg Supporters Club member. And also, again, big ups for Broberg in the nasty chat. Siggy Broberg, sky's the limit. Broberg, Dean Belanger says Broberg will end the year as number 3 I can't read that other word on the depth chart. That's quite a shout. I do have the hot takes mid here, Dean, if you want to come collect it later on in the day. But yeah, why not dream big, right? With a guy like him. It's not, we won't fault you for it.
Yeah, no, it's a weird situation because we've been watching this guy for a while, and there's been quite high expectations.
And I think the Clefbaum timeline too. Everybody wants you want it more to happen.
And I gotta hand it to the Oilers to stick with it. Like, there was probably some talk of moving him for assets at some point, and they stuck with him. Defensemen normally take a little bit more time to develop. I was really glad when he got sent down. They didn't, kind of, lack of a better term, waste a year like they did with Evan Bouchard, I think. That year,
well, and better management. I think that's another thing that fans are maybe curious or excited about, the new group and handling those guys in these early years and how you...
And being a young guy, too, coming into a dressing room that's established, you've part of, you know everyone. There's some familiarity with how things are done, the city, everything. I think there's a comfort factor, too. There's not, you're not going into a totally unfamiliar situation this year. This is something that, he's by all accounts has wanted to do. So I'd like to see him with a veteran presence, though, to play with, just to take some.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how that's done. This is just me thinking, which isn't always the best thing.
Well, thinking gets a lot of us in a day. What do you think about this? I don't think.
Yeah.
Andrea says, you could see Mount Baker from my grandparents' place in Abbotsford, and Grandpa used to always say he could see Bigfoot with his binoculars on the mountain. LOL. Great stories coming in with the cryptozoology angle as well. Owen Jane says chocolate, ideally the dark chocolate with chili peppers for a sneaky chili ingredient. I've heard of cinnamon as well.
Yeah.
Not just a bit of just a pinch to kind of spruce things up a bit. Dave in Section T says, you mean this Moose Texas chili garnished with yellow and jalapeno peppers and a sour cream. Elk. And he did the Elks logo. This is a pretty neat. He texts this in. Little Elks logo and sour cream over top of the green and gold chili. That's a nice touch there. A dollop of sour cream.
Yep.
I do like as well. Put that in there, mix it around a little bit.
And none of that 2-4%. If you're going to go hard, go home and take it home and eat it.
Go thick.
Like 18% sour cream. Might as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a dollop.
Bring in the big boys. It's just a dollop. I mean, who measures a dollop, right? We'll hit out here. I think let's do a sports update. We'll move, that's good, just after Josh Lewenberg. We don't want to take up too much of his time, and he's been gracious enough to give up some of it. So we'll be back with him following the sports update. Of course, he's the man on the beat when it comes to Canadian basketball. We'll get his thoughts on the Canadian men exiting the Olympics yesterday, a quarterfinals loss to host France. How much officials, how much just... France being good or Canada that much better or the tough start or all those things. We'll take a deeper dive into that game with Josh Lewenberg of TSN. He's coming up just after 8:30. We'll do a sports update right now for Sit and Sleep. This is the Nielson Show. Lieutenant Eric Joaquin Gage and YouTube Trev here on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. The Edmonton Riverhawks will cap off the regular season tonight out in Nanaimo against the Night Owls. It's a game you can hear live on Edmonton Sports Talk. Our coverage begins at 7:35. Riverhawks slamming the Night Owls last night by a score of 9-2. Alejandro Kirk with a 3-run homer. Jays top the Orioles 5-2. That series continues tonight from Toronto. First pitch 5:07. Canada will take on Sweden tonight as the preliminary round wraps up at the Holinka Gretzky Tournament. Puck drop in that one, 7:30, as both nations enter with records of 2-0. Dustin Nielson will have the call on TSN. And, of course, Canada bounced from men's basketball yesterday, 82-73 to host France in quarterfinal action. We'll have more on that coming up next with Josh Lewenberg of TSN. Cameron Rogers, meanwhile, claiming gold in the hammer throw. The wait is over. Sit and Sleep is now open. Celebrate with 20,000 square feet of savings on the trendiest furniture, home decor, and mattresses. Apply for your Sit and Sleep card today to make no payment for 18 months interest-free and be entered to win your purchase up to $5,000 on furniture and home decor. This weekend, you also get free local white glove service on your purchase with full setup and installation. You can find them next to Planet Fitness in South Edmonton Common.
The Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
8:30, you're listening to The Nielson Show on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, streaming on the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps, and as always on YouTube. If you are watching on YouTube this morning, if you haven't already, hit that like button. Let's change 200 by the time the show is out. And sub as well, as our quest for 10,000 subscriptions continues, sitting at the 9.61K mark. So hit that sub. Doesn't cost you anything. You won't get any junk mail or any of that, any sort of sign-ups for anything else. You've just subscribed to the channel. So you'll be alerted to anything and everything going on Edmonton Sports Talk. And once again, if you are watching this morning, hit the like kindly. Even if you're just listening, pop on over to the YouTube, hit that like, and be on your way. We got That's Good coming up as well for the Italian Center shop just before the end of the show. And I got a real good one. This news just trickling through, but I won't talk about it just yet. We'll save that for the That's Good segment. It's about time this happened. And it's interesting to see where they go with this, but we'll leave it for That's Good coming up just after our next guest, and Trev's going to get him on the phone now. TSN's Josh Lewenberg, as Canada obviously bounced yesterday from men's basketball at the Olympics. Again, we always like to talk sprinting, and you mentioned DeGrasse in action later today as well. But I think this team, aside from hockey in the Winter Olympics, really kind of captured us this games. The women's soccer, of course, getting off to the rocky start. It's post Christine Sinclair. They usually have the attention of the nation. Yeah. But I think this basketball team, specifically the men's, was one of those things we were all kind of keeping attention to.
Well, it was for the first time in maybe forever, that there was actual really good name recognition with this team. Right?
Yeah.
So when you do your side by side, and obviously the U.S. team is kind of the measuring stick. You set them, you look at them, and it's like, there's obviously some pretty good basketball players on that U.S. side. But you're saying, you know what? In a one-game situation, you never know.
They're in the neighborhood right now.
Yeah,
now, you gotta like that. You gotta like your chances. I mean, years ago, you wouldn't even dream that you're here. And you mentioned the roster littered with, and not just, older guys that this is good young talent here that you can kind of work with and move forward. So we will move forward. They will move forward. And I think, again, disappointing as yesterday's loss is, I think a lot of good things to celebrate with Canadian men's basketball. We're joined now by Josh Lewenberg of TSN, and we appreciate your time as well. Again, Josh, joining us yesterday and today, but thank you very much. Let's just start here with that game and your thoughts on it. I mean, a slow start. We got a few fans and listeners chiming in about officiating, but where do you kind of want to go with this one in terms of Canada bounced in the quarterfinals 82-73 to host France?
Yeah, like you guys were saying, it's definitely disappointing. I wouldn't say it's shocking in that, look, they certainly were in a good position to go and potentially finish on the podium and medal, but in a tournament where anything can happen in a one-game win-or-go-home scenario, these things are not uncommon. Outside of the U.S. losing a game, there's no such thing as really a shocking upset, because you could have an off night. You could run into a hot shooting team. You could be on the wrong side of the whistle, and Canada, probably all of the above yesterday. And anybody could find themselves on the wrong end on any given day. So in that sense, this was something that was always possible, no matter how good their chances were and how loaded the roster was and how good they looked during group play. I think where disappointment comes in is not that they fell short of their medal goals, but it's how they fell short. Especially coming off of that 3-0 start to the tournament, looking as good as they did, you would have expected to see some more fight from this team. And for whatever reason, from the get-go, very early on in the game, they just weren't ready. And it was kind of hard to explain, because you obviously expected France to come out on home soil and really bring that level of physicality in a must-win game, that relentlessness that they played with from the tip. You knew that the crowd would be a challenge in a hostile environment. But for whatever reason, they just weren't up for it yesterday. I think the level of discipline wasn't anywhere near where it needed to be on either end of the floor, especially defensively, where, I mean, they were so good on the defensive end through group play. In a lot of ways, it kind of buoyed their offense, which I think struggled at times early on in the tournament, but their defense was so good that it often made up for it. They weren't good enough on either end, and I mean, they just weren't able to, I think, overcome some of that adversity early on in the game, and they never quite bounced back from it.
Josh, you mentioned this, the start coming out of the bracket or the side that they were in, the group of death. Looking at yesterday's game, and you mentioned the slow start, was this a Canadian team that could have been, I mentioned it earlier, just putting the cart before the horse and looking maybe too far into the future of possible podium finishes? Do you think that played a little bit into this game?
I mean, it's hard to say. Like I said, for whatever reason, they just seemed off of their game on both ends. So I don't know if it's a matter of taking France lightly or looking past France. I mean, certainly if that's what it was, they shouldn't have been doing it. I also think there's something to, like, you go into a game like that, you have a game plan or an idea of how things are going to go. And credit to the French team and head coach Vincent Collet, because, I mean, they completely changed their approach to the game in terms of what you may have been expecting. There's 5 NBA players on the roster, including a couple imposing bigs in Gobert and Wemby. And you figure going in, like, if you're able to contend with those two giants, neutralize them to some degree, as Canada did during the exhibition game last month, if you're able to really take them out, you figure, okay, well, you're in a pretty good position to win. And when you're in a must-win situation, there's always that temptation as a head coach to lean on your strengths and stick to what got you there. So to make the decision that Collet did in going away from your strengths, essentially matching up with Canada's speed, athleticism, going small, it was bold. And credit to them because they executed it well and it worked. And maybe it did throw Canada off to not see Gobert on the floor to start the game. In the end, he only played just under 4 minutes. It sounds like there was some sort of a finger injury, that he hurt his finger in practice a couple days ago. But Collet kind of confirming after the game that the plan, regardless, was to go small. Wemby only 7 points. None of the NBA guys really making an impact until, of course, Fournier goes off in the fourth quarter. But some of the guys that, I mean, Canadian players may have been, certainly Canadian fans were Googling at halftime, trying to figure out who these guys were. But, I mean, these are experienced international players, veterans of FIBA, guys that have been playing for France for a long time. And to your point, like, there maybe is something to underestimating those players. So maybe when you don't see Gobert on the floor and you think, okay, well, maybe this will be easier than we thought. I mean, obviously it wasn't.
Josh Lewenberg joining us, TSN basketball reporter. You can follow him on the beat during the NBA season and, of course, international play. Josh, we did have a text in here from Rip City Step. He is one of our basketball fanatics. Jamal Murray in the Olympics, 6 points per game. He kind of rattles off his stat line, which really isn't anything to write home about. And I know we talked prior to the tournament that he would be one of those, key guys one way or another in terms of positivity or negativity. Certainly those numbers won't carry you to success. Certainly in terms of a player like him, and I just wanted to get your thoughts on both that stat line. Canada 25 of 66 from the floor. Like you mentioned, France using that game plan and maybe a risky one, but it paid off. Was it so much France kind of winning that game and executing at the game plan, or was it just Canada, bad day at the office type of vibes? Because that's kind of what I'm getting here. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 27 points game high. He was quoted as saying, punched in the mouth and no clue how they could have won. So, I mean, was it kind of done and dusted before they started with that start? Or who do you kind of credit here most? France winning it or Canada just kind of having a bad day stats-wise?
Yeah, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I'll say both, only because France played really, really well, and they deserve a lot of credit not only for those adjustments and that game plan that we talked about, but also just thoroughly outplaying, outworking, and essentially outclassing the team that came in as the favorite. And again, in these tournaments, and especially with the game being played in France, you can debate how much Canada should have been favored going in, but without question, they are the more talented team. They're the team that, up until that point anyway in the tournament, had looked better. And granted, a couple of those games that Canada won in the preliminary round were maybe closer than you would have liked to see them, but hey, Canada pulled them out in the end. They beat Greece, they beat Spain despite those games being close, whereas France had been pretty underwhelming in the tournament up until this point. So for them to come out and play the way they did yesterday, full credit to them. At the same time, adjustments are adjustments. That's sort of the way these things work, where you've got the chess match between coaches, but at the end of the day, the players have to go out there and they have to execute it, and they have to play. And if one team is making an adjustment, you've got 40 minutes, not quite the 48 that you'd have in the NBA, but you have 40 minutes to go out there and make your counters, and Canada was never able to do that. So to simply say, okay, well, they were thrown off, no Rudy Gobert, if anything, that's an opportunity for Canada to figure out, okay, well, maybe this isn't what we expected to see from France, but there's a 4-time NBA Defensive Player of the Year that's sitting on the bench. How do we take advantage of that? They were never able to do it. You mentioned Jamal Murray. He's not the reason they lost yesterday, but he certainly would have been a guy that they could have used in that, outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, nobody really stepped up. I mean, Lou Dort was pretty solid. Kem Birch was probably their best big, which is not what you want, but he gave them some good minutes off the bench. RJ Barrett kind of came to life in the fourth quarter, but Jamal Murray was supposed to be the guy in this tournament that was the Robin, essentially, to SGA's Batman. He was supposed to be their secondary scorer. It became even more important, I think, when Andrew Wiggins dropped out. And somehow Murray went from being the number 2 guy on this team to, he doesn't really look like himself in exhibition. Maybe he's the wild card. And then he went from the wild card to being the biggest disappointment in the tournament for Canada. And it's tough because I said this going in. It was really hard to see Canada reaching its ultimate potential in this tournament. Obviously, that was finishing on the podium without Murray being at his best, without him being great. And even when that became unlikely, they still needed him to, even if he was coming off the bench, find a way to really put his stamp on the games. He never really did that. I don't know whether it was injury or just a role he was uncomfortable with, maybe a combination of those things, or maybe something else entirely. But, yeah, I mean, he was essentially a non-factor for Canada in France.
So, Josh, I mean, selfishly, I did want to see a U.S.-Canada final for the gold medal. I think a lot of Canadians did, and seeing the possibilities of this happening this year was that was a possibility for the first time out. Where does Canada basketball go from here? I know we talk about it's a little bit of a disappointment because of the expectations of possibly having a podium finish. What goes into 4 years from now? We're on the international stage at different things. How does this performance affect Canada basketball moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely leaves a sour taste. Again, not that they lost, but how they lost. And just the structure that you mentioned, it's tough in the NBA when, let's say you have a really bad loss in the playoffs that you have to sit on for the summer. You've got a few months to think about it, and then you're back at it to start the next season, and you have a chance in the playoffs a year later. Even that, I think, could seem like a long wait for guys to get back out there and get their redemption. But in this case, to have to wait 4 years to, first of all, you have to qualify for the Olympics, which, as we've seen over the last 2.5 decades for Canada, isn't easy. You have to qualify for the Olympics, get back there, and then you have to wait 4 years to get your Olympic redemption. Now, there are other tournaments that matter here as well. Obviously, the FIBA World Cup in 2027 before getting back to the Olympics, hopefully the following summer. But, yeah, I think, like, this is going to be something that these guys are thinking about for a while now, and maybe that's a good thing in that, like, there's unfinished business here. There's motivation for some of these guys to say, well, okay, well, I'm not done here. Their goal, I know, was to play in the Olympics. Now that they have that experience, I'm sure a lot of them, not all of them, want to medal. So hopefully for Canada's sake, that means that guys will be back and commit again. To your point, like that's where this starts, I think, is once Rowan Barrett is able to sit down with Jordi Fernandez, figure out what went wrong here, and put together a plan for the next Olympic cycle. The first step is to get commitments from guys. And to their credit, like unlike previous Olympic cycles, you can't really fault the roster building process this time around. They really did a good job of securing commitments from guys early in the cycle. For the most part, those guys delivered on their commitments. 10 of the 12 guys on this roster were part of that so-called summer core, the guys that committed 3 years ago. It obviously starts with SGA, and the good news here is that, like, he just turned 26. He's under long-term contract in the NBA. He's been very clear about his desire to represent his country. It doesn't sound like that has changed, even just listening to him after the game yesterday saying that they'll have another chance in 4 years. He'll have another chance in 4 years. So obviously getting him on board is huge. I think it helps that they've sort of segued to the next generation a little bit. I mean, obviously there are young vets on this team, Lou Dort, Dylan Brooks, RJ Barrett. Like, those guys have to be a part of the core moving forward. And then getting a guy like Andrew Nemhard, who, I mean, I think the plan is for him to be a big part of the program moving forward. Getting him some Olympic experience here was big. And then also guys like Shaden Sharp, Benedict Mathurin, who was hurt this summer, Leonard Miller, those guys were in camp with the team, so kind of bringing them into the fold a little bit. Zach Edey, and given that the biggest weakness, I think, of this team here this summer was their front court size and depth, getting Edey involved moving forward is going to be big. Yeah. And then the head coach. I mean, Jordi Fernandez only signed on through this current Olympic cycle. Of course, he just signed on as the head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. So seeing whether or not he's able and willing to continue on through the next cycle is going to be important, figuring out, if not, where they go from here. I mean, I think they're in a good spot, and I agree with you. Like, I think it's possible to be disappointed with the result here while also being excited about the future of this program. Those aren't mutually exclusive, and this is, like, that hasn't changed. This is a program that's on the rise. A lot of young talent here. Nothing is guaranteed moving forward, and I think even just getting back to the Olympics and getting that experience, like, that matters too. The guy that burned them in the fourth quarter yesterday, Evan Fournier, has played in a couple Olympic games. Patty Mills, who nearly led Australia to that upset overtime win over Serbia. He's been to the Olympics 5 times. Rudy Fernandez with Spain 6 times. Like, that matters. So the fact that these guys were able to get this experience, hopefully learn from it moving forward, with all the talent that's coming up through the system here, you would hope that it's only uphill for Canada moving forward.
Yeah, and listener Jasmine chimes in, sucks Canada couldn't even get a medal, but you're right. I mean, the future is there and bright and something to, again, build off this experience and move forward. But Josh, man, we really appreciate your time. You're a busy guy covering all this, boots on the ground type of thing. So appreciate your time yesterday and this morning, man, and we'll chat soon.
Anytime, guys. Take care.
There you go. Josh Lewenberg covers all things basketball for the TSN network. Raptors beat as well during the season, but just an encyclopedic knowledge of the program and everything there. Didn't get to the officiating with him. No, we just leave that. We don't need to. Josh is, Higher than that. We don't need to talk about officials and everything, but we appreciate his time this morning. Quickly, up against the clock a bit. We do have the Hangout coming up, EST Hangout. Matt Iwanek and friends. 8:50, we're getting into that's good for the Italian Center shop. And right now, again, you can get a lot of things in there. I know we have the Italian sausage right now in this liner. We did have the donuts in last week. That bakery, insane. You guys haven't had anything new in. I think I asked you, pastas or whatever. I think the wife and I were due for a pizza date in that little cafe there. You can have a little red wine. Oh, it's just the best. Feels like you're in Europe without the hassle of you don't bring your passport. So that's good for the Italian Center shop. Check them out today. But I got a couple of things actually, and I mentioned, I was teasing it. Team nicknames and logos for the PWHL franchises will be released next month. Look, I think with the initial season that they had, just saying, Boston, Ottawa, Toronto across the thing, you saw the hype and you saw the interest in it. Give me a logo. Give me something to either love or hate, something to kind of latch onto. And I love logos and names and all that when it comes to sports. So next month, September, the PWHL, get ready. Logos, nicknames, and the whole bit. That was announced earlier today. Also had something else here as well. I think for that. Did you have an that's good?
No, just to touch on that, it is that's going to be huge. Right?
Oh yeah,
like I love that. That's a really good.
You can't have the generic.
That's no, yeah, it's boring. It's boring.
I understand why, but
get an identity, and I love logos. It's going to be fun.
Also, I just retweeted this at Lieutenant_Eric. Mariners participating in a reverse signing with a group from Seattle Children's Hospital before their game yesterday. A neat idea. They got a bit of a video here. The kids are on the big podium, and the players are stepping up to receive their autographs, and just smiles beaming all around. That's hell of an idea there. I don't know if they borrowed that from somebody, but heck of an idea there from the Mariners. Again, topping the AL West, Western Canada's team, and now a little bit for the Seattle Children's Hospital. So that's good for the Italian Center shop. Also, what's really weird is I don't know if you boys have been down the hall, but that tattoo place has Halloween decorations.
I know.
I'm not going to say that's good now, but
I went I don't know.
Oh, I know.
I went to
the
Costco
spirits are all
and Canadian Tire, all their Halloween's done. I'm like, really? I mean, Halloween's become
for putting out there to sell. I understand because that's business. I got to get ahead of the thing. But I don't know if we need decorations. It's August 7th. And they got you see this stuff. They got black and white, right?
I know.
They got like streamers, Halloween, the streamers.
I wonder if that's just the start too. Like, is there more? There's got to be more.
Every day they'll add to that. It'll be a haunted house up here by October 20th. So that's good. Check out the Italian Center shop today. Add some Italian flair to your next barbecue, indoor supper, whatever it is. They'll take care of you and take care of you right. We'll get into the wrap now. 7 minutes away from the end of the show. Thank you, everyone, for it's good to be back in the
welcome
in
back,
chair.
buddy.
Time off is always good for the mind, the body, and everything else, the spirit. But I don't get. I telling Maddie this. I hate taking time off because you feel like you're out of the loop. Like you miss like sports stuff that's always going on. So it's nice to kind of be back and really into it. But we'll continue tomorrow. Of course, Dustin Nielson has the call tonight. Holinka Gretzky. The call all day, really, for the tournament. But Canada-Sweden, the feature premiere match tonight. 2-0 nations going at it at 7:30. So it'll be me and Joaquin Gage and YouTube Trev for the rest of the week. And we'll continue a few NFL previews as we go. I know Craig Button couldn't join us today. He texted me.
Oh,
he slept. I can't fault him. They're doing great work down there.
3 a day.
I felt bad even asking for his time. He offered it earlier, but
no, it's fine.
But he'll join us Friday morning to kind of set up everything going on in terms of preliminary round will be done. So we'll really get into
with him. It's fine.
It's all good. But NFL previews as well. If you want a specific team, Lions fans, Bears fans, anybody, I know Jacksonville way, a few people suggesting Jags talk, but if you have anybody would like to, chime in
Jets?
with.
He who must not be named, I'd love to get some, because I
saw him arguing. Always very fun to deal with, shall we say, to get on the line.
I saw him arguing with some of his receivers the other day.
It's never going to stop. It's I don't even jerk my head anymore. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, par for course. Like, who is it today?
It's crazy.
But I mean, if he backs it up on the field, that's we shall see.
It's very intriguing. I'd like to see him. It's weird. I'd like to see him have success up to a point and then lose.
Just get so close and be denied at the final. It is the wrap now for William Huff. You can check them out as well. I mean, they do all the wrapping here. All around the city. Commonwealth, full bit. WilliamHuff.com. You can check them out online as well. In business since 1952, so you know they're incredible what they do, WilliamHuff.com. Boys, did you learn? I learned today that Trev has full access to the didgeridoo because we're doing some board work here in the studio. And you're really surprised. I mean, that was a pleasant surprise. A nice
good.
gift on my time back here.
Yep, that was good. You can thank Zach for that one.
Zach,
he was he was good. He's programming everything,
Zach.
installing all these cool sounds, and so that's
Not
Zach.
just a pretty face.
Yeah, not just a pretty face. He's driving in right now. I know he's smiling.
Yourself? Any education?
I learned that you guys aren't complete psychopaths and like beans in your chili. Like that's.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
Yeah, the psychopaths over there.
Beans and chili.
Yeah, come on.
Silence, definitely. Text of the day, it's going out to Deaky Sparks and where is it here once again? Maddie Elkwanik. That was a nice text. Given the Elks, we talked a little bit about them. Trey Ford, of course, emerging down in Regina last Saturday in a big way. And look, boys, I'll say it again. I like them against BC with the Jake Dolegala-led Lions offense.
Okay, yeah.
I really do. I'm very bullish on this now.
You said this.
They've got the hype. They've got the feel-good. Now it's at home. They won on the road last season, too. They're winning on the road. The home is the other thing.
I know.
But he knows the fans are going to be behind him. And Jake Dolegala, wheels could be falling off there pretty quick.
When I'm slinging meat and Trey Ford starts, I think the Elks are undefeated. I got to check that. So it's like me wearing leather at hockey games.
Dude, Sunday's 27 again. 5 o'clock kickoff Sunday. Tailgate will be humming. Woo.
Yeah.
Take me there.
I'll see you. Oh, look at this guy. Wow.
Oh, the other contestant in the foot race I've been hearing so much about. Hey,
Awanik says he can beat you in like
He's
in
the
200.
look of shock
Oh, now
on
it's
his face.
200. It was 100 yesterday. Oh, yeah, you did. Go back and listen.
Belzy is protruded here. You can't believe it.
Not a chance.
This will be a fun hangout, I think, coming up in a matter of minutes.
Can't wait.
Belzy in. Iwanik.
We might have a relay here.
Zach's kicking around. Why? We got room. We can go up and down the hall.
Maybe a 2x4.
15-yard dash, you know?
Yeah.
Out of the blocks.
Belzy's tying up his shoes tighter right now.
He's ready to go here. He's been stretching those hammies, too, I think. But Deaky Sparks with the text of the day. You're off to A&W. We'll be getting in touch with you. What are we watching tonight, boys? I mean, Holinka I like having that on. I'm not laser focused, let's be honest.
I'm more focused because it's Sweden today, right? So 2-0 teams. Sweden versus Canada at these tournaments Swedes are always quite good.
Yep.
I think it's going to be. I'm more interested now than I have been in the other two games.
Even though they both don't necessarily maybe need it, but kind of see how that chess match goes.
I think I'd like to see just the depth of teams, right? Because now it'll be a little bit more. I think coaching will be more involved, getting maybe some familiar matchups. So I'll look for that.
The preliminary round kind of ends today, but also starts in a sense for Canada in a way.
Yeah. So this will be good. This will be a lot of fun.
Trev, house hunting today. What's on the docket?
Yeah, house hunting and
you gotta text bunting.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
the
definitely.
move.
I'm gonna get at bunting after this. House hunting probably. That's get a video done.
And
I got this curry seasoning that I text my I love curry.
Yeah,
and I text my dad from back home, and we lost this seasoning. They just discontinued it for so long, and so I texted him yesterday. I'm like, "Is this the seasoning that we were looking for all those years?" And he's like, "That's what we made." And so I'm gonna chef up some curry tonight, and I can't wait because this takes me back to like middle school, high school. I can't wait. That's gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm gonna be making curry tonight, and I can't wait.
So what do you have a curry and a chicken type and a bed of rice? Like kind of whole prep?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna take a photo of it. It's gonna look really good.
All right.
You spent some time in the UK. I mean, the curry out there just.
Oh yeah.
That's where I fell in love.
The curry. Well, in Germany actually is the currywurst. So
I got some currywurst ketchup as a gift.
Did you?
Over the weekend?
Yeah. So it's and even in Sweden they do it there a lot too. It's funny because you get the big long dogs,
the European,
and they drop it in. It looks like a garbage disposal, but it chops it perfectly. It goes so it puts it in little bite size, and then they pour.
You don't even have to think when you eat it.
Fork. Yeah, it's pretty slick.
There's something about the European wiener.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's and again, Corey the Butcher, Acme Meats as well. I got beef coming up later in this week. But
I've told everybody, the Korv, the Swedish Korv hot dog, where you slice the baguette in half. It's like a trident. Then they just put the baguette in there. It makes it toasts a little hole in the baguette. Drop the wiener in the hole. And put your condiments in there on fresh baguette. So just imagine the Italian center. You know, you go in and get one of those fresh French baguettes, and then just slide the wiener in there and go to town. That's good stuff.
Surveyor Brett asking if there'll be chili with beans at the tailgate. Unconfirmed. I don't know what Zach's got cooking up there. He also asked, does Trev put beans in his curry, though? Ha ha ha, hardy har har. We're having a good laugh with that. Also, Scalding Gore, LT doesn't jerk his head anymore. Marriage will do that for you. My wife also texting. She said, gave Gage a nice smooch for me today.
Oh,
so
really?
She's thinking of you and loving you, so
nice.
it's good. Nice. Other than that, I guess we will make way. Again, the EST Hangout coming up next. Matt Iwanek, Sean Bell, they'll continue their race challenge. I don't know how that's going to go. It's going to be a spicy curry-like hangout coming up next. If you are on YouTube, keep it on that auto play, and you'll just transition you right over. But the boys will be up next for YouTube. Trev this morning, keeping it locked behind the monitors and the show going. And Joaquin Gage, it's great to see you again, man. I love doing
I'm
these
glad
shows.
you had a. It was actually I hate to see you leave and you were out of the city, but knowing that you were in Saskatoon and my boy going out there, I felt protected.
If he needs anything,
okay,
don't hesitate.
Awesome.
For all of us, I'm Lieutenant Eric. Dustin Nielson will be back next week, of course, doing the Holinka tonight, Canada-Sweden. We also got Riverhawks action. They'll conclude the regular season tonight. They're on a 5-game heater, looking to end the season on an 8-2 run, and maybe get that higher seed when it comes to playoff games this weekend. But we'll have more on the Riverhawks as the week progresses and what you can expect for playoff atmosphere, tickets, all that sort of thing. But Riverhawks Night Owls tonight on EST, 7:35 as they round out the regular season. Once again, for YouTube Trev, Joaquin Gage, I'm Lieutenant Eric. Thank you to all of our sponsors this morning as well. South Fort Chev, of course, presenting sponsor of the Nielsen Show. Check them out today, www.southfortchev.com. Paris Jewelers Inbox was hopping today. Deaky Sparks winning the A&W Text of the day, so we'll be in touch with you, Deaky S, on how you can get your hands on that A&W GC. I want to thank our guests this morning. We went out to Pittsburgh. Jim Wexell, his new book as well at 6:30. Mo Wager from ESPN Cincinnati, rounding out hour number 2. We had some free advice as well from Damon Bunting and Josh Lewenberg, capping Canada's basketball run at the Paris Games with their loss to France yesterday. Have a good rest of your, Wednesday? Yeah, enjoy the rest of the morning and the afternoon, and we'll be back talking to you tomorrow. I love you.